R2V2 is back for 2 huge days. Saturday and Sunday, October 12th and 13th at Cliff Breakers on West Riverside. Featuring retro games in a playable arcade and museum, esports tournaments, vendors with your favorite gaming merch, and so much more. Plus, your ticket gets you into the after party with live bands playing classic video game tunes. Only at the Rock River Valley Video Game Convention. So come on out, you freaking nerds. Let's make this happen. October 12th and 13th. Get tickets and more info at thegamingoutsider.com/R2V2 and thexrockford.com.
What's happening, Gaming Outsider listeners? This week, Zach and I welcome Jacob Gunderson from the Go team, and we're talking about games that we in the community believe are just a tad overrated. In news, we talk about Sony's reveal of the PlayStation 5 Pro. Zach and I both got a chance to play Astro Bot, and spoiler alert, it's glorious. Zach also played a game called Sun and Bone on PS5. Jacob played Crime Scene Cleaner on PC, and Mark got to try out the new streaming service of classic games called Antstream Arcade. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. We've also got a community at facebook.com/groups/the GoCast, and even a Discord server. You can find a link in the show notes. We would love to have you. That is growing quite a bit, actually. It is Tuesday, September 10th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Zach Parkerson. How you doing?
Good, man. I mean, how could you not be doing good with the games that we're swimming in right now?
Oh, it's a start of a beautiful time of year.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Absolutely, man.
And unfortunately, it is like a super busy time of year for me. My goodness. I am, I think I told you today, I am budgeting my time like in half-hour chunks now. Yeah. Just trying to get things done. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's brutal. You got to stop building decks, man. You just can't stop yourself. You're always building one deck right after the next. It's just too much.
I'm building one deck.
Oh, I guess it's just been so long, I assumed there were multiple.
Yeah, well, it's the size of more than one deck, let's say that. But we did finish the outside framing of it, so we actually are ready to start putting down the actual decking, which is it's getting closer, man. I just hope it gets done soon. But it's not just you and me this week. CB's not here. He's working. Alyssa's not going to be able to make it. So we decided to bring on one of my very good friends from the Gaming Outsider team and my right-hand man when it comes to planning R2V2, Mr. Jacob Gunderson. Jacob, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I should have mentioned you're also one of our writers.
I mean, you make it sound like I do so much more for this podcast than I actually do.
Jacob and I spent the entire summer, last summer, working on getting the event ready for R2V2, and we've been not quite as much physical labor this time around, but
I was going to say, I'm surprised I'm not helping building the deck. Oh, wait, I did.
Oh, dude, you did. You helped me tear down the old one. You did help me do that. Oh, and you helped me haul all the equipment from the bottom of the road. So
the tearing down seems like the fun part, so, you know. Right?
We did that in, 3 hours? Tore that whole thing apart? It was, really quick. We had rented this giant dumpster, but anyway. I want to turn this into deck talk.
All right.
Hello and welcome to the Decking Outsider.
Yeah, you got to be careful in the pronunciation, though. You don't want any confusion out there.
Deck tickets?
Very much so. Deck tickets. I like it.
That's a deep cut for the.
That is a deep cut. I will hopefully have it posted on the socials by the time you see this. But I was on the news today. I got to get a 3-minute segment on the local news here in Rockford, WIFR. Trying to get the word out about R2V2. So please spread the word. Tell everybody you know, anybody you know that loves games about this, because we really want people to come. It's going to be an awesome, awesome event.
If you want to see Saturday. Every centimeter of Scott's face, this is the interview for you.
Oh, yeah. The camera was quite zoomed in on me.
Yeah, dude. It was...
I actually told the reporter before we actually were on the news, he was talking to me before, during the commercial break or whatever, and my face looked so red, and my lips looked like I had lipstick on. It was insane.
It did look like you were wearing makeup.
I should have turned the camera or my ring light down or something, because it was ridiculous.
Anyway, what are the dates for R2V2? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Saturday and Sunday, October 12th and 13th, and your ticket gets you access to the after party on Saturday night, where we've got 3 live musicians coming to play video game music, including the one and only Stemmage, also known as Grant Henry. very excited to get to hang out with him again for a second time. He's such a cool dude, and he's got some fun surprises that I'm not allowed to tell anybody about. But
he's going to bring a real Metroid.
Yeah, she's a great character.
Oh boy. Everybody just threw their phones in the road.
Yeah,
yeah. Dude, she was always great with Zelda, the little blonde haired boy. They were always a good team.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we got a lot to get to, so let's talk about the games we've been catching up on. Zach, anything?
Well, the community questions last week, it made me think about Remnant 2 because it was a game last year that I missed out on. So I also knew I couldn't realistically play this game, obviously, because there's so many games coming out, man. We got Plucky Squire around the corner. We got Wild Bastards coming up. It just wasn't.
Isn't Remnant 2 like a long game?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
So I'm saying I could not play Remnant 2 right now.
What do you mean by a long game? Like, a long game, or
I think
like the box is about 14 inches long. It's a very long. You remember those PlayStation cases?
Yeah, I do. The cardboard cases. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Remnant 2 playthrough is 15 or 20 hours. Anyway, that's not the point. I'm trying to tell a story here. Okay.
Oh, my bad.
I was looking into it. Okay, I was doing a little research, looking at the classes. Just kind of pretending about it just got me interested. Talking about it briefly last week.
Mm-hmm.
So then I learned the class I wanted to play as is actually behind a playthrough. You have to play 2/3 of the game in order to unlock the class for future playthroughs, because the game is meant to be played over and over again because it randomizes the story and the bosses and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Which is super cool, of course. But I was lamenting about this on Reddit because I couldn't believe it was true with some of the community there. But then somebody offered to just run me through 2/3 of the game to get the class unlocked.
Wow.
So shout out to Future Dilf. That's his name. You're a real one. But he had a class and a character that he had built for speedrunning. So he would just do that through the levels. I would kill myself so that way I could just follow his camera, basically.
Yeah.
And then he would go up to the boss and then switch into a stronger class. And then I would join him in the boss fights and pretend like I was doing something, but really I would just shoot him 3 times. And he would just wipe them out. And then an hour later, he got me through 2/3 of the game. It was pretty crazy.
Wow.
So
then you could start the game over with that class?
Exactly. So shout out to Future Dilf, my bro. But from what I saw of the game, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna like this quite a lot. It is Dark Souls with guns. That's what the first Remnant was, and this looks like just a much more refined version of that.
So you basically prepped your actual playthrough,
right? Exactly.
This past week, so that when this busy season gets done, you're gonna go back and actually play Remnant 2 for real.
Yeah, I want to play it the way I want. Yeah. Of course.
That's really interesting.
It was just such a unique story. It was the rare internet kindness, you don't see anymore.
Yeah.
And we chatted on mic the whole time, and had a nice.
And of course, you told him about the Gaming Outsider.
The Gaming Outsider, of course. Yeah, I said, hey, check it out. I don't know if you've been to Rockford, but on Saturday, October 12th, big things are happening.
I don't believe you.
I told him.
Don't believe.
I did not tell him about R2V2. I'm sorry, but I did tell him he should check out the Gaming Outsider.
Well, yeah, especially since you mentioned him.
That's
right here
Well, I didn't. Yeah, but anyway, I didn't have much to say about Remnant 2 itself, other than it looks very, very good. And when he was flying through it, I got some story previews. I'm like, ooh, that might be interesting. Can't wait to get to that in 2 months.
Yeah, do you go in with blinders, kind of, because you don't want to know?
Yeah, I was trying to skip every piece of dialogue and every cutscene I could.
Yeah.
So you never played the game before, but you went in to get a character so you could actually play through it.
Yes, right. That's exactly right. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jacob looks perplexed.
I'm horrified. I have 140 hours in that game, and I was dicking around. So, yeah.
Oh my God. Was this you? Are you Future Dilf?
No.
Definitely not.
Something we need to learn. Definitely not.
I'm already a Dilf.
Oh, wow. It's good to hear. So you're a big.
I'm a step Dilf.
So Remnant 2 it's worth getting into then, huh? If you put 140 hours into it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got to understand, 140 hours in a game is a drop in the bucket for Jacob. You saw his Steam library.
Is that right?
And the hours he puts in the games, it's redonkulous.
I on Project Zomboid, I have 1,100 and something hours in it.
My God.
Factorio, I have 3,000 hours. And that's I cut off 2,000 hours because I'm pretty sure I just left it running overnight a couple of times. But
okay, so in your Steam page, it'll say 5,000 hours.
Yeah,
but you're rounding down 2,000 hours. Okay, understood. Dude, I got your Steam ID after this, man. I gotta check out what the hell's going on in your world.
I've topped out a few Monster Hunter times at 999.
A few different Monster Hunters.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think the first Monster Hunter that came out didn't keep track of time, but the next three did, and I topped them out.
My God, this guy's for real.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's crazy. I got to play a little bit of Baldur's Gate 3 this week. Only got about a 2-hour session with Kevin. Unfortunately, Paul was not available, so we didn't want to get too far. But Jacob, you've beat Baldur's Gate 3, right?
No.
But you played past where I am.
Maybe.
I'm at the beginning of Act 3.
Sounds like you didn't put it.
No.
Didn't put enough hours into this game, did you? Huh?
Yeah. I got angry with it. That's a topic for another time. But I stopped playing once I learned something.
Oh, so you got to tell us.
Okay, fine. Okay, so Scott, me and you've had this conversation with Kevin before. So I learned that you cannot carry over. You can't basically do a new game plus. And I got angry because I do not want to start over a brand new character and recollect all of the items that I already had. So I basically just dropped the game.
Wow.
I did the same thing with oh God. Skip that. I don't know what I'm talking about right now.
All right.
Dragon Age. That's what it is. I did the same thing with Dragon Age. I got so far into it and then in the Origins, and they said that there wasn't a new game plus that was available. And so I got probably three quarters of the way through on one character and quit, and then came back and beat it later.
What a specific complaint. I've never even I've never considered that. Because to me, part of the fun of Baldur's Gate 3, I can't speak from experience, but something I'm looking forward to is finishing this run and then starting and playing as a completely new class and having a completely different experience.
I have probably 100 hours in Baldur's Gate 3, and probably 25 of those hours is me sitting at what's-his-face and changing my class 7 times.
What's-his-face?
Withers.
Sorry, I was going to say the Monster Hunter play clock starting to make more sense.
Yeah, right?
So
anyway, this little bit I got into Baldur's Gate 3, and again, spoilers, if you don't want to know anything about the story of Baldur's Gate 3, this isn't like major stuff, this is more like side missions.
You're about to spoil it for Jacob here.
Well, he's not going to play it because he can't do a new game plus. So I love how you covered your ears, even though you have headphones on. Like you covered your. Anyway, so I'm like I said, just starting Act 3, and we haven't really made it to Baldur's Gate 3 yet, but we're milling around in this city right before Baldur's Gate, and there's like a murder mystery. There's a person that's been murdered, and someone has been charged with this crime, and there is an investigator that is a little baby elephant that flies, and he's like the investigator, it's kind of crazy.
Dumbo.
Yeah. So, but he's very stoic and very it's not silly at all. He's got this very serious, demeanor. And so, I take it upon myself to try to solve this mystery or figure out what's going on because this person is being accused of murdering it. And some people don't think this person would do this murder because he's just not that kind of a person and everybody loves him. And so we start doing some digging. And it comes to like where are we going to figure out what happened? And I said to Kevin, hey, why don't we ask the dude that was murdered? And he says, I've never thought of that before. So one of my characters has a spell that is speak with the dead or converse with the dead. And so we went up and talked to this dead dude. He came to life and got to ask him what happened, and he confirmed that he was killed by a dwarf wearing red clothes, which is not the person that is suspected of killing him. We actually spoke to another corpse that was buried outside that was related to this guy, and he confirmed that he was also killed by this dwarf in red clothes.
Oh.
And so we did some more digging and found an underground labyrinth, and we're just kind of like searching around trying to figure out what's going on, and we're attacked by some random enemies that weren't too difficult to dispatch, but took them out, and one of them dropped the murder weapon, the weapon that the guy was killed with. Took that back to a person upstairs, and they said, this proves that so-and-so did not commit this murder. You need to find this inspector and show it to him so that you can prove this guy's innocence. And we are on our way to the city where we believe the inspector is now, because he's no longer in there. And that's pretty much where we left off. But I just love that there's this little side story of a murder mystery that we have to kind of help solve. Yeah. And I was able to just do something like talk with a dead body to get clues. It's just, just things that you can do in this game. You can attack things in different ways, and I really, really enjoy it. And I love how my character is looking. They started taking those elithid worms. So he's
yeah.
They got this black. His eyes are all black, and it looks like he's been crying. He's awesome. Pretty cool. So that's all I got in Baldur's Gate 3, but it was still a lot of fun. Looking forward to diving in again, but probably not this week. I'm going to be in Wisconsin this weekend for a short camping trip, and I'm not going to be able to play on Sunday morning because I'll be driving back.
Oh, dude, what a frustrating time to leave off right as you're about to solve a murder.
I know.
Yeah.
I actually was thinking of when could I squeeze in a few hours, like some night this week, but there's just stuff going on all the time, and I'm playing something else that is really taking a lot of my attention right now, which you're going to talk about shortly. So when speaking of, we should get to it. Let's go ahead and jump now into the week's news. I didn't see too many new trailers this week of interest, except for the trailer for a movie called A Minecraft Movie. It's coming out in April. And the news is a little light this week, but we got one big one. Ubisoft is not doing so hot, thanks to Zach for uncovering that story for us. And also, big news today, the PS5 Pro was announced. I'm pretty sure we have a lot to talk about there. Jacob, you're our guest. What story do you want to talk about?
I'm just a fanboy of PlayStation, so we'll go with Ubisoft.
He's here
He's
here to defend the blue.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think Ubisoft is doing bad. I heard Division 3 is under production now, so I don't think a studio that was looking down the barrel would start making new games. But
no, although it is worth noting their stock price is closed at $13.50 the other day, which is a decade-long low. That's probably not good. So they're not going in the right direction.
That was in pounds. That's like saying like cheeseburgers or stuff. Come on,
Royale with
that's
cheese.
fake money.
And then I guess it's probably surprising for them is that Star Wars Outlaws is not doing as well as they had hoped. They lowered their expectations by 2 million, which so it's still going to sell millions. It's just it seems like they were banking big time on that one.
Not as many millions as they wanted. Oh no!
Right.
What a divisive game in terms of people liking it or not liking it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I guess what are the complaints? Just that it's too Ubisoft.
No, that the focus on stealth is like I'm telling you, those early stealth missions are hard. I mean, I understand that but you know how like in like Assassin's Creed when you start out stealth missions, they're pretty easy, at least at the beginning.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And you kind of work your way up to the more difficult ones. This one just comes right out the gate difficult. It feels like a game that is going to really hit its stride after quite a few hours, because I get the impression, and I can't speak to this from experience, but it feels like you're going to unlock things that are going to make things a lot easier down the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for a game to do that successfully, I feel like it has to still do some things at the beginning to make you feel successful. And I just keep feeling directionless, which I guess is the point, and is actually a positive for some people, to not really have a direction, just go do an experience and do whatever you want. But it's like the least Ubisoft game I've played in a while in terms of, and that's things I like. I love Far Cry because I could just put a point on the map and go there and do a thing. I loved Assassin's Creed because I could clear a map and carve out these sections, and I could spend all this time doing things that were still enjoyable to me, to power up my character to make the main missions feel easier because I felt like a god. That's what I love about Ubisoft games. And this one, it's not quite of a clear path how to do those kinds of things. So that's just my personal take on it. I'm going to go back to it. I really do want to go back to it, but there's just too much stuff that's vying for my attention right now.
Right. I mean, it will. To your point, they are going to patch the beginning of the game. They said to make it easier. So that's good, right?
Does that mean I'm going to have to start my game over again,
or risk losing your save forever?
Yeah, that's what happened to PlayStation users, right?
Right.
The people that bought the game 4 days early or whatever.
But Scott, they got a ship trinket.
What is? That's what they got. That was what their
they got
their troubles was.
They got like a cosmetic item for their ship. I think that they got something else that it wasn't exciting as well. I can't remember, maybe some like Uplay points or something. But but just just a total disrespect for the people who paid extra for sure.
And people will still do it. Yeah,
of course.
It's not going to stop. I mean, at this point, it doesn't even feel like games are $70 anymore. It feels like AAA games are $100.
Right.
Unless you're willing to wait 4 days, then you get it at a discounted price. Like that genuinely feels how it is. We're getting off topic with the whole Ubisoft thing.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. Not your fault. The Star Wars Outlaws is a big part of why their stock price is so low, even though it's still selling well. It's just not meeting expectations.
Right. I feel like the stock is not a good representation of how well the business is doing. It's how good people think the business is doing.
Right. That's exactly what the market is.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, though, the business could be doing fine, but people don't think it's doing well because the games aren't doing well.
Right.
So,
I mean, they sold more than 25,000 copies, so
things are looking up.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah. Well, apparently they might not have 25,000 people playing X Defiant, though. I always forget this game exists.
I do too.
Yeah.
You guys can have $10. Go away.
You guys can say that's what they're doing, right? They're giving players like $9 of store of X Defiant money to spend to try to
entice them to come back into the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting model.
Yeah. Did they drop the Tom Clancy branding from this game? Is it just X Defiant now?
I've only seen it as X Defiant.
Okay, good. I thought they had done that pre-release, so that's good. But
I completely forgot about that game. Let's see. You want to read this quote
name
from AJ Investments?
Sure.
Go ahead.
AJ Investments published an open letter to Ubisoft. It urged the board to consider taking the company private, quote, implement a comprehensive cost reduction program and optimize staffing levels to be more comparable with industry leaders, unquote, increase its focus on core IPs, and consider replacing CEO Yves Guillemot. It's worth noting AJ Investments only has like a 1% investment into Ubisoft.
Yeah.
So I don't know how big a role they play, but it's probably not a good look. I'm sure Yves Guillemot did not feel good this day.
Yeah, I understand.
But... Oh no, less than 1% of my stockholders don't like me.
Right, but there was other quotes I didn't put here. Where he was like talking about how the Guillemot family is holding Ubisoft hostage with their bad leadership or whatever. I'm not saying whether or not they made a difference, Jacob. I'm just saying. I'm sure Yves is not happy today. That's all.
Right.
I don't know. It just feels like a weird world that we live in, because like if you think back to the E3 days, you had your, Microsoft press conference, you had your Sony press conference, your Nintendo press conference, you had your EA press conference, and you had a Ubisoft press conference. Mm-hmm. They were like one of the big. They were one of the big dogs.
Right.
Right.
And the fact that they're this, I mean, I feel like we don't talk about Ubisoft as much as we used to.
Because they don't have, I don't know, they seem to have some pretty iffy portfolio management, right? Like, why did Skull and Bones take nearly a decade to make? Why is Beyond Good and Evil 2 taking 13 plus years to get out the door?
Right.
Like, so I don't know what how do you have a Sands of Time remake so close to release that the trophies are live on PSN and then pull it?
You know what they just need to do is, announce a Splinter Cell.
Why? Well, they did. They said it's in the works. Splinter Cell remake.
I mean, a trailer would just do wonders for that stock.
Sure. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if I could trust. Can we trust Ubisoft to make a good modern Splinter Cell?
Their Zack stocks would go up.
I don't know. It would be a very cautious 1 cent increase.
To put a positive spin on it, this would be the time to buy shares in Ubisoft while the price is low.
Yeah.
You know
right,
what I
because
mean?
they're about to release the Lost Crown Story DLC, and that's going to skyrocket right back up.
Exactly.
Yeah, obviously.
Exactly.
Everybody knows that.
I'll throw a couple of cheeseburgers at them.
What?
How gentlemanly.
$13.50? Like, come on, that's a Big Mac. We're America.
It's kind of
That's all we
sad
make
that's
things.
a Big Mac meal now.
It's brutal, dude. That's
Oh no,
unbelievable.
political.
Zach, there
Oh.
is one story left from this week, and it's a big one. Why don't you lay it on us?
All right. PS5 Pro announced.
Woo! Oh, sorry.
Well, Jacob, the resident fanboy of PlayStation, apparently, he's stoked to be dropping $700 American dollars on this bad boy. He can't wait.
I thought you were joking when you texted me that today.
I couldn't believe they went over the $599 US dollars. They got a new meme now. It's a new moment.
That's the new meme that's been popping up all over Twitter today is, would you rather have a PS5 Pro or 700 Arizona iced teas? Like,
well,
it's just like this whole thing of
that's
like,
an interesting comparison.
Yeah.
So let's say $700 is the price of the PS5 Pro. That does not include a disc drive. That is to be bought separately for $80. It also does not include a stand for your PlayStation. That's a separate $30.
so like you can't even lay it down on its side? You need a stand for that too.
I assume you can because the disc drive's not there. So maybe it's like a different shape. You know what I mean?
It's got that sweet racing stripe on the side.
Dude, yeah, that friggin' sweet pop collar, dude. This is the coolest 2003 guy ever.
Settle PlayStation.
Let's get the details out of the way. Comes out November 7th, 2024. Their marketing strategy is the big three: a larger GPU, advanced race tracing, and AI upscaling. Claim and Mark Cerny's big claim is that it will reduce the amount of times you have to choose between quality or performance mode. That most games should do both. So what they promised you would get with PS5 at launch, you can now have for a few $100 extra. 4K 60.
Here's the thing. I got two things to say. First off, did you watch Mark Cerny's presentation? Did you actually watch it?
I did.
Okay. Because as soon as I saw Mark Cerny was giving a demonstration of this thing, I immediately started falling asleep because I watched the one for the PS5 from years ago, and I was like so excited, and it was the most boring presentation of it was purely a technical demo, like all this stuff that is way over my head.
Mm-hmm.
And all I wanted to hear was basic layman's terms of stuff, and this wasn't that.
No, I will contend. I like Mark Cerny. I would watch more stuff in there. If he was how Nintendo Direct's got those weird cheery people like they're talking to kindergartners.
Yeah.
If Mark Cerny was that for PlayStation, I'd be into that. Like during the showcase, he was just like, and now we're taking a look at The Last of Us Part 3. I would be like, oh, I like this guy. Yeah.
He seems like an interesting fellow.
Yeah.
But anyway, the other thing I have to say is I am so torn about how I feel about PlayStation right now, because this is ridiculous to me. I mean, just $700 for a console that I can't put a disc in.
Right.
And that is going to, it's more powerful, sure. But how close to the end of this generation are we? And they've raised the price of the controller. They've
that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I understand that things are getting more expensive, and the sad thing is that it's probably still going to sell. So they're right.
Right.
If people buy it, it is the right price point.
Well, I think it's guaranteed it'll sell out, right? But then I'm curious how it does in the long term.
Yeah.
Because
and then the PS6 will be announced, and
because every piece of tech now is an automatic sellout as soon as it goes live. That's just how it is,
right. But on the other hand, I am so high on PlayStation right now for reasons that we'll get to later that I don't know how to feel, because I'm not going to buy one of these. I will say that straight up. I don't have $700 laying around, and I feel like I've turned on my PS5 3 or 4 times this year, just for exclusives. Now, granted, that's because I play my multi-platform games on Xbox because I'm a achievement guy over a trophy guy. That's mostly it. I'm just more comfortable in the Xbox, ecosystem. I'm not crapping on Sony, but I this is not something for me because I don't need the upgrade. I think I'm perfectly happy with the way graphics look on games, with how fast things are running. One of the things I don't talk about PS5 that I love about the Xbox One or Xbox Series X is the resume feature. I can turn off my console or put it in sleep mode, and the game just picks up right where I left off without having to go. That's like a huge thing, and it does that. There's nothing more I need for my PS5. Jacob, you are the resident PlayStation fan here, it sounds like. You were playing a PC game with your PS5 controller the other day. Are you going to be getting one?
I was only playing a computer game with my PS5 because my PS4 controller died. So I hate the PS5 controller.
I love the PS5 controller.
I hate that thing. It looks ugly. It's better than their PS3 Boomerang that they decided to scrap, thankfully, but that was going to be atrocious. If you haven't seen that thing, look that up. It was a concept for the PS3.
Oh yeah, we know it.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so the PS5 came out. I bought additional memory for it. I moved all of my PS4 stuff to my PS5, and it worked wonders. I love that thing. It's great. There's no reason for me to turn that thing on, really, unless I'm going to go back and play PS4 games, because there's no PS5 games to play that are worth my time. My wife still has a PS4, so when we play games, I load in faster than her. And that's pretty much the only upgrade that really ever happened. There should be no question between quality and performance ever. It should always be performance. We've reached a moment in time where your quality of game does not need to be, you don't need 8K. You don't need 8K at 240 hertz a second. It's unreasonable. It's unnecessary. You're overworking your computer. At the same time, the performance doesn't need, the performance was getting so good with these consoles that they were considering adding loading screens to games because they were loading too quickly. So they were going to force loading screens because they were giving tips and tricks and stuff during the loading screen. And so they were going to force a second long loading screen because the games weren't allowing those moments anymore. So they didn't know when to put the tips in.
Why is that a problem? That sounds like a great thing. Because
the tips and the tricks in the loading screen were actually a really cool way to give that information when you're not playing the game. It was something that was there that people were going to do while the game was loading. And now that the loading screens were basically non-existent, they didn't have that anymore and they didn't know where to put them. So instead of
complaining about that,
don't know, but that was the argument that was being made.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just,
I don't know if I agree that there's no reason to turn on a PS5. I played a lot of exclusives on PS5.
I meant for, like, I don't play a lot of the PS4 games anymore because they're a little, I'm not outdated, but I've moved past them. I'm playing other things now, and there's not a PS5 exclusive that I want to play, so I just don't turn it on.
Wait till after this episode. You might change your mind.
I know. We're getting there. I'm part of the podcast too. Thanks.
To Jacob's point, there are certainly not enough PS5 exclusives to warrant needing to see them upgraded, particularly when most of the big PS5 games were on PS4 as well. So these games were designed, with cross-gen in mind, like God of War Ragnarok. I don't believe it's pushing the PS5 to its limit, let alone would it necessitate the PS5 Pro. Right. And I think that's so evidenced by the fact that the big game they showed off, when Cerny was talking about performance increase, was a PS4 game. Right. It was The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not only that, but the AI upscaling is unnecessary. Like, your games already look really good. They don't need to look even better. You can't. It's diminishing returns. They already look so good, making them look even better. You're not going to make them look that much better.
And here's the thing: is I have yet to see anybody. I mean, I know the internet is going to internet, right?
Yeah.
People are going to be more negative more than they are positive. But I have not seen a single person that said, "Hell yeah, sign me up, day one." Everybody is like making fun of this, or why? Even Sony people that you expect to be just whatever Sony does, we're gonna and I hate having conversations like this because I don't want to come across like I don't like Sony. I have rekindled my love for PlayStation this past weekend, and I want to see them do well. I just don't. This does not make any sense to me because I don't know who it's for.
Right, because even if you haven't bought a PS5 yet, do you really want say and you don't care about discs? Is this really worth the extra $250? Or if you do care about discs, is it worth the extra $280?
Is it
to upgrade?
You put it in perspective? Is it worth an extra 50% of the cost of the original PlayStation 5?
Right. Yeah.
Here's the problem, though, with your guys' thinking. You're not spending just an extra $200 to upgrade your old one. You're spending another $700 on a whole nother system.
Right.
So
that's
is
what I
it
said.
worth? Well, yeah, but I mean, if you already bought a PS5, you're going to go out there and spend another $1,000 on the Pro to have two PS5s that one is just slightly better than the other one.
I mean, I did the same thing with the Xbox Series X. I upgraded to the X, not the Series X, excuse me,
The Xbox
the
One.
Xbox One X. That was wholly unnecessary, and I did it. So I'm that guy.
But I guess that wasn't nearly $1,000 though, right?
Right. I don't even remember the price. I think they were like $500.
$500, yeah.
See, I would like PlayStation to go the Xbox route where they make a console that's more modular. So when they come out with a new GPU, or they come out with more memory, or they come out with, something else that's, it should be a new standard, you can just take the old one out, put the new one in, and it's the exact same thing.
So you want a PC?
I play on PC. Thank you.
I know. I'm just saying.
Right. I do feel like that would eliminate the ease of the console, right?
Well, even if it was, it comes out and okay, the new GPU is $400. Okay,
right.
I'm not buying an entire new system. I'm just buying the GPU, which makes it a little bit cheaper for me and makes it a little bit cheaper for you guys, and then I get the new system.
I hear you. But they want to charge you the full price, right? And they're absolutely going to. Yeah. But I feel like this is the decision making of PS3 era PlayStation, right? The hubris of not having any competition. So I really need I'm not trying to. No offense to Xbox, but it doesn't really feel like PlayStation's worried about them.
But they've got so many IPs.
Yeah, and they're bringing them all to PlayStation.
Right.
You know what Xbox needs to do is they need to announce next week like an Xbox Series X Pro and just come out and do the $399.
That would love that. That'd be great. Did you see in Japan the Xbox Series consoles went from like the number 300th something best-selling electronic in the country to the number 8 after they announced the PS5 price raise?
I didn't know. I thought it had something to do with Wukong as well. Like they were sold out of PS5s.
Yeah, well, they sold out of PS5s after they announced the price hike in Japan because everybody just bought them. But then I guess people felt like they may as well just invest in Xbox.
Yeah,
and that's interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah,
to number 8.
Right.
Are we going to be able to get that mic drop on the mic?
I mean, it was a marker.
I heard it, but that was.
Did you? Okay.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, so this is interesting. I genuinely want to hear, not because I want to argue with anybody, but if you are planning to buy this, I want to know, and I want to know why. Not because I think that it's terrible hardware or anything like that. I just want to know who this is for. Because if you are an existing PlayStation 5 owner, you paid $500 for that thing, or what was the non-disc drive model one?
$400 at launch.
$400.
They raised it to $450 though. Don't worry.
Okay, so $450 or $700. Are you going to upgrade? And why? Or if you are not a PS5 owner, is this something that you're going to chase after? Because scalpers are going to be a thing. They're going to be hard to come by. But I want to know because I don't. Maybe it's because I'm getting old and I feel like I don't need my games to look that much better anymore. I would rather that focus and attention were made on just making fun games. Because I learned this week, games are indeed fun.
Well, that's true. But I do want to just say, if you are thinking about it, just remember, PlayStation lies. Everybody lies. They say it's going to reduce how often you have to choose between quality or performance mode. Why would you believe them? They told you that when the PS5 launched.
Yeah.
That 4K 60 was going to be the standard. They said you're going to be having games routinely up to 120 frames per second. And that list is tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the first
routinely tiny, not synonyms.
Indeed. So it's just I wouldn't believe them at face value if you were thinking about it. You just wait and see if it's true or not. How about that? And also wait for them to make actual PS5 games. That'd probably be cool too. It's embarrassing that you showed off your PS5 console refresh and you didn't have any PS5 games to show it off with.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to sell me on new hardware, show me a console that has games that I can only play on that hardware. Right.
Yeah, you showed me Ghost of Tsushima, PS4 game. Last of Us Part 2, PS4 game. God of War Ragnarok, PS4 game. You did show me Rift Apart. That's a PS5 game, sure. So
that game was gorgeous on PS5.
Right.
As it was.
But don't worry, now the crowds are bigger, Scott, because that's what you care about in Ratchet and Clank, right?
Yeah.
You want the crowd density to be increased?
Oh, yeah. More bolts for me.
Again, people listening, I can hear Doc Samson typing already. I don't hate Sony, man. I really don't.
I love PlayStation, but I love what they could be, not what they are.
The graphics are supposed to be so good. My eyes better bleed when I look at something. I swear, because everything just looks so the same as it has for 4 or 5 years now. And
well, the increases are so much slighter than they were in previous generations.
Jacob was saying, right? Diminishing returns.
Yeah. And so stop focusing on making the game look more realistic. Stop trying to add more and more of this, whatever. Aim for performance. Let me have the 240, hertz. My TV's not going to be able to play that, but
right. Yeah.
Hell.
Yeah, dude, just give me ray tracing with 60. I mean, just pull that off first. How about that? And then
unless it's arc ray tracing, and then I'm blinded every time I look at the sun.
Is this Arc Survival Evolved?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is this another game you put 1,200 hours into?
So on the PS5, I have 400 hours, and on the the computer, I have 1,800.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I don't know where you guys get the time. Holy crap!
He's dedicating himself to these games, right?
Apparently,
I don't go to bed until 4 o'clock in the morning,
and then he wakes up at 6. So,
I wish.
All right, well, let's move on. I want to remind everybody very quickly before we get to the new games we've been playing that we are an independently funded podcast, and we could use your help. If you'd like to donate and get some perks, head over to patreon.com/thegocast. We would very much appreciate it. Every dime that we take goes towards the Gaming Outsider and R2V2 and awesome things for our community. You can get some bonus episodes as well at the $3 and $5 tiers. But if you even just do the $1, you still get the episode a day earlier than everybody else, and we would really appreciate it. Again, patreon.com/thegocast. Let's go ahead now and jump into the new games that we've been playing. It has begun, Zach. It is that time of year. Things are happening. What's coming out?
That's right. Video games are upon us. I hope you're ready, Scott.
I'm ready.
Jacob. Right at the top, we have Funko Fusion, a Funko Pop video game that feels like it's arriving after the fad. I don't really understand it.
Just a tad.
Coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC September 13th. That is combining a bunch of different franchises, though, so I guess if that's what you're excited about, you can feel happy. PS4 and Switch versions are coming out later this year. I do want to give a PSA that the game promised online co-op, and it will not have it at launch. It'll be coming later. So I don't understand
why.
What are the odds? Evo Tinction comes to PS5, PS4, and PC September 13th. Edge of Sanity 2D horror game coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC September 13th. Deep Beyond, I can't remember what country it's from. That now I feel rude. But it's an interesting game from another country. A narrative adventure, but coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and Switch on September 13th. Hands of Necromancy 2 is a boomer shooter, but you use magic. Coming to PC, September 16th. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is getting ported back in time to the PS4 and Xbox One on September 17th. I'm so fascinated by how that version sells. I really hope we get numbers.
I would love to see
That's very interesting. Final Fantasy 16 gets ported over to PC September 17th. The Plucky Squire, an indie game we're all very excited about, coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Switch, and PC September 17th. Dads Everywhere Rejoice. Train Sim World 5 is coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC September 17th. I assume that will have 3,000 pieces of DLC shortly after launch. God of War Ragnarok gets ported over to PC on September 19th. And Notria, The Last Song, is a Souls-like based on Italian folklore. Very interesting story with that game because Xbox won't talk to them. Coming to PS5 and PC September 19th. Dead Rising Deluxe Remastered becomes your PS5 and Xbox Series console as well as PC on September 19th. Broken Sword Shadow of the Templars Reforged brings the classic point-and-click adventure back to modern consoles, including every console you could think of, PC, iOS, Android, September 19th. If you want to buy Broken Sword, you will be able to. And then Dross, I believe this is a Zelda-like that was reviewed earlier this year.
Yeah, it was on Switch. David Newman reviewed that for us.
It's coming to Xbox Series consoles and Xbox One September 19th. Jacob, you're our guest. What game on this list is exciting you the most?
So I got two pieces.
Okay.
I read it as Evo Stinction for like 15 minutes. I watched the trailer. I did everything, and I was like, Evo Stinction. That's a great name. That's awesome. And then Evo Tinction. That's no. All right. Anyway,
put a little stink on that. You know.
Right. Right. Well, Evo Tink. I don't know. It just feels broken. Evo Tinction. But actually,
it sounds like you're being cute. Evo Tinction.
Tinction.
So it sounds like a minion would say.
Yeah.
Evo Tinction.
Yes, exactly. See.
Anyway, actually, Funko Fusion. I was actually curious about because it kind of looks like what the world is going into now that Lego is done with its nonsense.
Yeah, this is the next step up from Legos. Yeah. Are you saying?
Step down, but
okay,
Legos are great.
But... Sorry.
I don't like. There's so many things that Funko could do with that, and they only named a few. But I mean, any possibility scenario that they could put in there to get out of, there's a superhero that they have that they could just throw in there at random and go like, oh, that's how you get out of it. Right. So I'm kind of curious. It looked like they had two, independent new people, blah, blah, whatever, outside of their actual collection. But I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with that.
Yeah.
Because it looked like they had Jurassic Park and other things in there. So I'm expecting to see dinosaurs and whatnot. So I'm excited.
You're into dinosaurs?
Oh yeah. Okay. I used to act like a dinosaur in the second grade. So
wow.
They used to call me J-Rex.
They used to call you what? J-Rex?
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool nickname.
It wasn't a nickname.
Oh.
I'm so confused.
So those were the two for you, Evo Tinction and Funko Fusion? Or did I misunderstand? You're just making fun of?
No, Evo Tinction I was just making fun of.
Oh, okay, understood.
It's not a bad name, it's just a bad title.
Understood. So okay.
Bad game. Anyway. Continue. Yeah. Funko. I want to try it.
Okay. What about you, Scott?
I think you know my answer. The Plucky Squire.
Yeah.
I have been looking forward to for a long time. And it's kind of coming out at an unfortunate time for me. But I'm still looking forward to it. It's I'm also interested in Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster because I've never played the original.
Capcom.
But I'm also afraid of timers, so I'm not sure if I'm going to like that one. So I'm not going to play that one at launch, but that's going to be a back burner one for me that I want to check out on the sale down the road. But Plucky Squire day one.
It seems like perhaps the worst game in the world for you then.
Yeah, but I just want to see. I just want to see. Like if it's fun, it's. I don't know.
Scott's just scared because Train Simulator comes out at the same time.
He can't decide.
His old man bones are shaking with excitement.
I never got into model trains as a kid. I just never did.
Understood.
What about you, Zach?
Well, yeah, as for me, I wish I could say something fun like Evo Tinction because it's a hacking stealth game. Stealth. Let's give it a shout out. But it's the Plucky Squire for sure. Yeah. Game looks incredible. I love that. I don't know if you watched the most recent trailer, Scott, but they in the trailer said it's 8 to 10 hours.
Yes, I saw that in the new trailer.
I got very excited. I know that makes a lot of people, that's too short for a lot of people. Jacob, I know, needs 8,000 hours of gameplay in order to feel justified in purchasing something. but I think that's good. That signals to me that, you know, all the ideas we see in the trailer, like, I feel like it's just going to be 8 hours of new and exciting ideas. And that's very cool. And I'm very much signed up for that. And I think it's cool. I feel like maybe we're seeing the return of a little bit of a more condensed gaming experience.
I hope so.
See, I feel bad because when I have talks with my kids about the price point of video games, they're like, "Well, I don't want to pay $70 for a 40-hour game." And it's like, "Well, don't play it for 40 hours. Play it for 800.
Yeah,
Then you'll get your money out of it." But
you're gonna force your money out of it one way or another.
I mean, the games that I put that amount of time in, I'm already enjoying, so I'm well getting, you know, that and my money's worth out of my experience. So
Yeah, I hear you. I guess it's just because, you know, Scott and I, we like to taste a little bit of everything if we can.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
sounds a
but
little
that's
dirty.
but it makes me, and I feel like I'm an outlier when it comes to this because I don't mind paying $70 for a game as long as I know that I can play that game for upwards of 200, 300 hours.
Right. So do you ever play like a 10 or 12-hour game?
Oh yeah. I beat Mini Shoot Adventure in 2 days.
That's true.
But did you play it 100 times after that to get your money's worth?
No.
Okay.
I played it's not on my desktop anymore. Armored Core 6. I played that 3 times through to get the true ending of the game in like a week.
How long is a game?
10 hours, 10, 15 hours.
I didn't know that game was that short.
Yeah. Well, I
just hear From Software and just assume it's a massive game.
I mean, it's definitely it's more Souls-like this time around, but the playthrough is shorter. But I'm actually good at games, so Scott.
Wow,
I'm not. But I know I'm not.
Love you.
That's so mean. Well, I mean, that sounded like a straight up murder. Good thing Jacob knows how to clean some crime scenes because he's been playing Crime Scene Cleaner.
Geez. Okay.
So the trailer, I mean, it looks self-explanatory, right? Based on the trailer, you're cleaning up some crime scenes, right?
Yeah, that's the gist of the story. That's basically what you're doing. You have a friend. His name is Tyler. He gets into some trouble, and you and Tyler's dad were friends, and Tyler's dad died, and so you take it upon yourself to kind of clean up Tyler's messes. Well, Tyler got himself into something that he can't get himself out of, and you decide to go help him, and it turns into this big thing, and the mob get involved, and so you start cleaning up for the mob and all of their little antics, and you know, a couple of things lead to, you know, this, and now you have a full-time job. So, okay. I mean, the game's actually really short. It's only about 20 hours long. So there's not that many things to actually do, but the levels are actually quite big, and there's a bunch of secrets.
So is it like Power Wash Simulator, but crime scenes instead? Power
Wash Simulator with blood. So there's a mop, a sponge, a power wash, and I think that's it. Yeah, there's a power wash. So the power wash is good for reaching hard to reach places, whether it's in a pool or on a ceiling or all over the place. Everywhere. There's a lot of statues that get covered in blood because they're used, and it's easier just to use the power wash and get the whole thing all at once rather than going through with a sponge. The game does make it so that different areas of the map are harder to clean, so you can't just use the power wash on everything because it's harder to clean carpets with a power wash. So the sponge is actually used on anything that would be fabric. So couches, carpet, walls, you know, anything, well, textured walls, but you get the gist. So you're constantly figuring out what you can do or how you can do it faster, or, you know, all that stuff, figuring out how your tools can be used in the most effective way to get it done as fast as possible. But there's a lot of exploration in the levels to do. There's a lot of levels that feel that they're guided. Certain doors will be locked, certain areas will be blocked off until you do something that will allow you to actually get to these areas, whether you have to clean something or find a key. But finding your way through these levels and finding the secrets that are in the level, it feels a little rewarding at times, because I almost fell out of my chair once laughing so hard.
Wait, this is a funny game?
There are funny things sprinkled through the game. Actually, one of the I don't want to see, this was the problem with my review. I started talking about it and then I wanted to share things about it, but I want people to go in as blindly as possible, because when you get into certain levels and things happen, it's such a moment. And I don't know, I find it so funny that I wasn't expecting certain things in places that they were actually there. And I was so caught off guard because I was walking in the trailer. It shows him making a pile of garbage in a corner. Like he's having fun destroying things and pushing it into a corner and making a mess. And so I knew it was, you could be, any way you want to in the game. You could make a mess. You could do this, you could do that, but ultimately you still need to clean it up. So I was taking it a little bit seriously, but then actually finding the secrets in the game took the seriousness right out of it. And you realize that it's supposed to be kind of a mild humor, kind of serious game.
Is there any kind of like solving a murder? Are you like learning what happened with murders, that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's environmental storytelling is huge in this game. So there's blood trails all over the place. And as you're walking through the areas, your main character, Mr. Kowalski, I don't remember his name, but that's all close. That's close enough. He's talking to you, and he's not really talking to you. He's just talking out loud, but he's talking about the things that he sees. He's talking about how they were killed. He's talking about the people that they must have made mad to get to do this to them and all that nonsense. And so he's talking about just random stuff that he sees or that you find or whatever throughout the level to know what is happening and why you're there.
Okay. And then one of the things I feel like we're underselling here is how gruesome this game is. I put together the review for you that you wrote on the website, and I had to pull pictures from the press kit and everything. There was not a picture available that wasn't just blood everywhere, and
yeah.
it's gruesome.
In one of the levels, not to spoil too much, but in one of the levels, there is a giant pentagram of blood made by a what's the little robotic sweepers?
A Roomba?
A Roomba. Thank you. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, but there's a Roomba that is still alive running around the house, but it is just drawing a pentagram made of blood, and it's as big as the room. And so, yeah, you have to go through and you have to stop the Roomba, and then you have to clean up the pentagram of blood. And that level,
program a Roomba to make a pentagram. I didn't know you could do that.
If you read the backstory of that mission, it's really funny because the guy was just trying to keep property values low.
Well done.
So, yeah, that the backstory of that mission is actually really dark, but it's funny.
Now this is only on PC, right?
Believe so.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's a game that's conducive for mouse and keyboard, but hey, if they can do Power Wash Simulator on console,
I mean, I was playing with a controller.
Oh, were you? Okay.
I will try to
it.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. If you can withstand the blood and not throw up, that'd be fine.
Yeah, I think we should.
Look
at the review on the website if you want to see some of the screenshots.
There's a couple of times where you have to drain pools of blood that are literal pools and then fill them back up with clean water. So it gets pretty gruesome. It's pretty. There's no gore in it. There's not like intestines you have to clean up. It's just blood, but
no
there's
flesh, just blood.
There's just a lot of it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. All right, it is time. Zach.
Oh yeah.
I have been waiting since Friday is when this game came out to talk to you. We were talking before we recorded that you and I have been texting back and forth about playing Astro Bot on PS5.
Right.
And like it's always this weird thing like how much do we say over text? I'm going to save it for the show so we have like this unfiltered raw reaction. You want to start?
Sure. It was about Astro Bot. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, with the other exciting things we text each other aren't, fit for anybody else's eyes. But yeah, I mean, what is there to say? Astro Bot, right, is the new game for Team Asobi. They did Astro's Playroom and Astro Bot Rescue Mission, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And this is their chance to make a full blown Astro game, and it is remarkable.
Absolutely remarkable. Like, I knew I was going to like this game. I did not know I was going to love this game.
Yeah.
So many levels.
And it's very easy to love. The platforming is tight. It is responsive. What I really love about it, Scott, is that the levels are so short, right? You could probably beat them in 5 minutes, right? If you weren't looking for the hidden collectibles.
Yep.
But when you are looking for stuff, like stuff is cleverly hidden, and each level is like it feels like every level is a brand new idea.
Totally. Like I just keep waiting for them to run out of ideas. And I keep coming across ideas that are like, how has this never been thought of in a 3D platformer before? Just so many fresh, fun ideas.
Yeah,
that are just amazing.
And it's all presented in this very cheery atmosphere, right? It would be difficult not to be smiling while you're playing this game. The music is upbeat, everything's colorful. The bots make these adorable little noises. It's just a joyful experience.
I'm going to make a bold statement. This game has ruined so many games for me this year in terms of I was listening to a podcast today, and the guy that they had on as a guest said, "Have I had fun playing other games before this one?" Because that's like just what this game is. It's just pure fun. It's not high pressure. It's not overly difficult, although it's got some challenging bonus stages, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
But you can play through this game and just enjoy yourself, and it never feels like a kid game, even though it looks like one. You know what I mean? Like, it looks like it's made for children, but it is so much more than that. It feels like a love letter to PlayStation.
Yeah.
You know how what was the one that was packed in? You said Astro's Playroom felt more like a glorified tech demo to show off what the PS5 DualSense controller could do. It was fun, and it had some great nostalgia stuff.
I thought it was great, but yeah.
Yeah. This one surpasses that on so many ways without feeling gimmicky. Like without feeling like we're trying to in your face, here's a PlayStation memory card.
Right.
Here's like this and that or whatever. It's like stuff is more subtle. Like the little bots that you collect are like dressed up as characters from video games, and they don't straight up tell you what they are.
That's true, yeah.
I love that. They don't say the character's name. They give it a random name that is not its actual name, and then a brief descriptor that is mildly vague, almost like you're trying to see if you can guess what that character is or if you recognize that character. And this is what I was talking about, why it was so difficult to feel like I was bashing Sony with the PS5 Pro price, was because I feel like this game has rekindled my love for all the years of PlayStation goodness that I have just somehow forgotten. Because there are games that I forgot about, like just straight up forgot about, like totally.
Right. Well, like it often feels like PlayStation has forgotten them, right? Like, I don't want to give away too many bots, but like, there's some infamous stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, that was a series, right? Because they don't do any work to keep that on modern consoles.
Yeah.
Watching the trailer, there was an Ape Escape moment, and I was like, all right, I'm sold. I want to play it. I want that memory.
Well, that's the best thing about the game. We'll get to that in a second. Like, we'll get there.
Sure.
But go ahead, Zach.
No, yeah, but to your point, like, I am a big PlayStation fan, and it was just it felt like this game was made by people who love PlayStation the way I do, or the way it feels like the people who are in charge of PlayStation do not anymore, right? Like, there's such a rich history, and this is celebrating all of it. And what's really nice is, like, I've enjoyed things like PlayStation All Stars, their version of Smash Brothers back on PS3, and that was I enjoyed it because it was like a crossover of these different properties. But the Astro Bot lens, where they can kind of make everybody these similar bots or whatever, I was like, oh, they finally found their hook to celebrate their characters, like Mario Kart does for Mario, right?
Yeah.
And this is a way for them to be able to do that. And it not only is it just the games, but it is like the hardware or the symbols on the controllers, play a big role throughout the game.
Or the wires that you walk across. Like if you ever have to like a tightrope across a whatever, you realize once you get to the end of it that you're on a PlayStation 2 controller wire or PlayStation 1 controller wire because it's plugged into the platform.
Right.
It's just little things like that you could just very easily miss, but are just such a joy when you realize what it is. There was one that I got that was brought back memories of the game Intelligent Cube. You remember that game on original PlayStation? Like it was like a puzzle game where like you're on this platform with the blocks like slowly rolling towards you, and you had like I completely forgot about that game, but I recognized it immediately when I saw it. Yeah, and then there's a bunch I don't recognize. Like there's like is it a bird or a rabbit or something? It's just like a black background.
Oh yeah, well, VidRibbon.
I don't remember that game at all.
So it was like a PS1 platformer that you would put in a music CD and it would make levels based on the rhythm of the music.
That's amazing. What a cool concept.
Yeah, but you're right. Not often remembered. But that's a great example of how deep the cuts go. Right. You know, and there are characters. Even somebody like me, where I care more about PlayStation than you do, Scott. Right.
Yeah.
There's like characters I don't know. A lot of them are like Japanese only ones.
Right.
Which is crazy that they're going that deep. I don't know. I think that's great. And there's a bunch of third party little bots as well.
The guy from Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yeah,
Arthur.
That must have been exciting for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought of you when I saw him. Again, I don't want to give away too many, but this kind of love for video games in general is all over Astro Bot. So it's hard not to celebrate along with the game, right? And then
right.
That's on top of all the, like, even if it didn't have all of that, if it was just the 3D platformer, it would still be one of the most clever, joyful games on the market.
Oh, seriously. And like, I mean, some of the mechanics are still the same. Like you don't have a butt stomp like in Mario. You've got like these lasers that you shoot that also help you hover.
Right, and it's also an attack.
Yeah, then there's just a melee attack.
No, I'm saying the laser feet you can use as an attack.
Oh yeah. Because there's like spiky characters. Right. But then there's just clever way. You also have a spin attack, which one of my biggest aha moments was these characters, these enemies that are like a little nut and bolt that come at you and they shoot like a string of fire at you. And if you jump on them, it does nothing. Your laser does nothing to them. And like I was like, well, the only thing I can do is a spin attack. So I went up to him and spin attacked, and it didn't kill him. What it did is it unscrewed the nut from the bolt of his body, and that was how you defeated him. And then it just exploded. And it was just such a tiny little satisfying thing that was awesome. And the other thing that I love about this game is, and I think you're with me on this, Zach, is that I refuse to go on to another level until I've gotten 100% of everything.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In each individual level. There's like between 6 and 8 bots that you can find, or 5 to 7 bots that you can find. And then there's 3 puzzle pieces, and then in some of them there's like a warp portal that takes you to another bonus level or something.
Right, the so-called lost levels or lost galaxy.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that they're so cleverly hidden, but never like super difficult. It never feels like you have to, it's never like super outside the box thinking. It's just slightly outside the box.
Right.
Like if you're a gamer, you know to look for these nooks and crannies and look at the side of this platform you're standing on and see if you see a little thing that you can get to. It's just great. I like, and the best part is that if you don't get everything in your first run, it's okay. You can obviously go do it a second time, but you don't have to do it and just kind of scour the level again. They give you this little bird creature at the beginning that you can pay 200 currency.
Right.
And this bird follows you around, and whenever you're near either a puzzle piece or a bot or the warp portal, he kind of does the Ape Escape satellite thing and points in the direction that it's supposed to go and kind of flashes, right?
Yeah.
And you can choose to do that or choose not to do it. It just costs some money. And I found myself at the beginning of the game Googling, okay, I'm missing this one piece. Where is it? And then I went back and said, I'm going to use this bird thing because the levels are so damn fun to play a second time.
Right.
They never overstay their welcome. They are just adorable and just so clever and witty. I feel like this game has ruined 3D Mario games for me.
Oh yeah,
And that almost feels like blasphemy.
as I said, that's big talk.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love Mario Galaxy 2. Still is one of the best platformers in my opinion. But this game, I'm stuck in that spot where I want to keep playing it, but I don't want it to end.
Or you don't want it to run out. Yeah,
I feel like I have not felt that way about a game in months and months and months.
Well, because even so many games that we love are still like overstay their welcome or run out of ideas, or have some spot in the middle where you're like, okay, let's get on to the next thing. But Astro Bot
There's never a moment like that
No.
in this game.
It is always, I want to see what's next, because you can guarantee it's something you haven't seen.
Right. Like we haven't talked about the power-ups. Like they've got like Mario-like power-ups where you find a chest and you get this, but they're all completely different from anything you've ever played, right? You get frog arms.
Right.
You get a rocket, like a chicken rocket on your back.
Yeah,
or
that shoots you
something.
forward. There's a bunch of different ones. There's like a armor ball thing that you can get.
I just got that one last night. That was super fun. It's like a Samus.
Yeah,
morph
ball. But they all use the controller in interesting ways, right? Like the frog arms. You can use the frog arms to climb, but in order to do that, you're like using the left and right trigger to grab things with the arms, but you can also tilt your controller to move the arms around, so you can kind of climb walls that way.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of stuff going on there. Or, I mean, the controller in general is implemented so well. It makes you upset the potential the controller has that no other games use.
Thank you. I was like, why is this not utilized more in other games?
Because, like, say you're like in the rain or something, right? Your controller will like lightly vibrate in ways where it feels like water's hitting your controller, like you're in the rain. And then also the controller speakers got like a low level like water noise, so it makes you feel like you're in the rain, which is like a silly thing to say. But
no, but it's like when someone uses a sleep thing, whether they listen to ambient noise to go to sleep, it sounds like that.
Yeah. But then combined with the feel of the hand, or if you're walking, on spikes, like with that armor we're talking about, and your controller's making a little ting 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 noise, like you're smashing metal on metal. But then also your controller, it feels like it's somehow with the haptic vibration or whatever, it feels like you're getting poked by some spikes.
Right.
Not in a dangerous way, but it just feels
it has
great.
that feedback that gives you that tactile and audio signals that make you feel like you're in this world, even though it doesn't look realistic, right?
Right.
It does. It looks cartoony. It looks shiny.
But it's like tricking your brain. It feels like this like kinetic cool toy you've just discovered or something.
Right. And the game just looks gorgeous too. I don't know if you've gotten to the Egyptian level.
Yes, I just
did. Do that one?
Yeah.
And I know that I feel sorry for you because I know you can't see all the colors that I can. But
yeah,
there is a portion of that where you're just in these, like there's just mounds and mounds of loose gems. That you're like swimming through gems. And I don't know how many of those, what colors you saw there, but there's like 4 or 5 different colors, and it just is stunning to look at.
I mean,
on the screen.
It's pretty regardless, but also just like you're interacting with it. They're using the PS5 in interesting ways, right? Because there's just like thousands of particle objects. Like you're talking about those gems where you just smash them all around and cause mayhem. Jacob's laughing.
Seamless.
That I'm colorblind. Yeah.
I know you're blind, but
well, I didn't know how much he appreciated, because I can't see what he sees. You know what I mean? I just
right.
I found myself just swimming around in these gems like Scrooge McDuck in his Tower of Money, but it was like colored diamonds or whatever, and it was so much fun to look at.
Yeah.
And like you said, it gives you the audio thing through the controller. It's just, what a glorious game. I did not expect to absolutely love this game.
You know what is and just other little things of joy, right? Instead of collecting stars like you would in Mario, you're collecting little bots. But when you do that, they like jump into your controller on the screen and the touchpad flips up, and now you're like carrying around these little Astro Bots with you, and you're like rescuing them.
And it's also like your travel, like you like fly around on this controller, like it's a little plane,
your speeder. And but then when you take your bots back to your home base, right? which has a cool whistly Western tune, by the way. And
Certainly does.
yeah, but then you get access to this gotcha machine where you can unlock a little item for each of your Astro guys, and then they'll do some kind of fun thing in your little hub town, and it's just delightful the whole time. Yeah, it's just like a constant loop. It's a constant loop of joy, and yeah, how many games do that anymore, right? It's just about fun from beginning to end.
It never stops. There's never a low point. There's never a single level that I'm like, oh, that one was okay. Everyone feels like a masterpiece of level design and love poured into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're just absolute joyful to play. I miss feeling this happy about a game. and like I'm squeezing in 45 minutes to get through a level or two when I can, even though my time is limited. I'm shocked at how much progress I've made on this game with my limited amount of time lately. But I can't help it. It's just, and we haven't even talked about the glorious moments of the game, which at the end there's what 5 main worlds or galaxies. Is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah, like some kind of star systems or whatever they are. But yeah, like worlds. Yeah,
yeah.
And they each have 4 levels in them.
And then bonus ones.
And then like 4, and then 4 challenge missions. Yeah, I guess there's a lot of levels, really.
Right. Some of them are bite-sized. Some of them will be like, just complete this super hard challenge and you get, right, 1 extra bot or something like that.
And they all culminate in a boss fight. So far, I've done 3 of the bosses, and they've all been great. Because they combine platforming skill with having to kind of be smart and attentive. And it's just, it's a really good challenge. It combines like the platforming boss challenge you might expect from a 3D platformer, but then also the kind of the spectacle you would expect from a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And then they reward you after you beat the boss.
Do they ever?
They reward you in ways that I really have to let people experience for the first time. Like I know people don't like it when we avoid and dance around spoiler stuff, but you have to go into this game. Just know, after you defeat any boss, you are in for just incredible moments.
Yeah.
I think I literally laughed out loud during one of them, and not in something that was funny, in something that just made me giddy with excitement that this was happening on the screen.
Yeah, and they've
something that
definitely showed some of this stuff in the trailers, but I also don't want to give it away. Just suffice it to say, they take the love for PlayStation to the next level, right, and kind of take you back in time,
and that becomes the motivation to keep going as well, as if you needed it.
Right. I was gonna say motivation. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm done gushing about Astro Bot. Guys, there is no way this game does not make my list this year, and I genuinely am toying with the idea of this being very, very close to the top, if not the top. It's that good.
Right.
I feel like this game was released just in time because it's PlayStation's 50th anniversary. And so this game just feels like a celebration of what PlayStation has been this entire time without being
30.
It's
30. Not 50 years old.
30. But that's all right.
What did I say? I remember 50. What did I say? I'll have to find out.
I think it's just in time, like right after the Concord news last week.
Right. What a news sandwich, right? You got Concord, Astro Bot, PS5 Pro. Like it's just terrible bread that you're dealing with, but the filling is so good. But it is a great way to celebrate. Jacob, you're absolutely right.
50 was Pink Floyd. My bad.
I can see how you might get those mixed up. There is also, Scott, there's free DLC on the way. Some
free DLC,
some challenge levels, and some speed run levels. So different challenges. Because
I'm all about the challenges. I don't know about the speed running.
Well, I assume it'll just be you got to beat this level in 30 seconds. Well, I guess it's a timer, so
yeah.
But you might push through it for Astro Bot. But the challenge,
I might.
The challenge levels we have already, they're all themed after the face buttons. The symbols, and that's such. Who doesn't love that if you're into PlayStation, right?
Like it's circles, triangles, square. I haven't got the cross yet. I assume that's going to be the next one, but
I'm going to need to play this game.
Dude, you have to play this game. I don't care if you just come over and like try the beginning of the game and see what it's like. Like, there's just moments that made me feel like a kid again.
Right. It is.
And
I haven't beaten it yet, but it's pretty easy to say it is amongst the best 3D platformers ever made.
yeah, I mean, it's the only thing that I could say for like Mario Galaxy 2 is that it's longer. You know what I mean? There's more things to do, but I feel like that's going to be a feather in this game's cap in that it never overstays its welcome. In
Right.
its levels, in its number of levels, but at the same time, I don't want it to end. I just like I'm going to be sad. Dude, I might platinum this game.
Oh
Like-
yeah, I definitely plan to for sure.
Oh, and there's little things. Have you gotten any like the hidden trophies? Like just things that you just like do organically in the game, and then like, oh, a trophy pops up, like shoot a ball in the basketball hoop. You know what I mean? Or
Did you get the one for finding a bunch of birds in a level?
yes, I
Yeah,
did.
that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or there's a random water level that dolphins are jumping through
Yeah, haven't.
a hoop.
Oh yeah, I saw that. There's a trophy for getting through the hoop.
Yeah, I just said, I wonder
Yeah.
if I could just jump through that hoop, and I did, and there's a trophy. I was like, I'm glad I tried to do that.
Yeah, dude.
Got on the first try, by the way.
This might be a good game for the non-gamers in your life as well. My fiance, I'm not allowed to play this game unless she's around, for instance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she just thinks it's so fun to watch and so adorable.
And I know you're not a music guy, but can you? I mean, the music to me is so good in this game.
The cave music has been in my head all day at work.
Yeah.
They,
They keep doing variations of the Astro Bot theme song
yeah,
in different levels, and it's just like they've made a banger of a catchy tune for that, and then everything else is just so good.
I'm sure you a music aficionado have noticed, but like they remix classic PlayStation game theme songs into Astro Bot music in some points, and that's delightful. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, there's one in particular that I'm not going to say, that I'm always like, man, I love that song. I just wish I could hear this portion of it more often, and they do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like perfect. It's so good. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
There's a few to choose from, my friend.
There is a few to choose from. Okay, we got to stop. I'm going to talk another half an hour about Astro Bot, if you guys let me. But Zach, you played another game called Sun and Bone. You're playing this on PS5,
Of course.
but it's also available on PC, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
The game is called Turok 5.
But it should be, yeah. It should be called like Turok 1886 or something.
Turok,
Yeah.
Smith and Weston.
I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, if you put a cowboy theme on a game, Zach is going to at least try it,
That's right.
right?
Yeah, because I gotta keep Pixel Ranch full over here. A bunch of games in the stable.
Yeah. Did you get a physical
yeah.
copy of this?
No, there isn't one. Yet. I mean, this developer Team Kill Media is a team of 4 brothers. So I don't feel like I don't know if they have the kashish to make a physical games deal happen.
Okay.
Yeah, but as you insinuated, Scott, this game has a cowboy in the leading role, so therefore I played it. And but what is also fun is that he's killing dinosaurs. And if you are familiar at all with Turok, have I got a game for you? Because this game is Turok.
You said that when you were prepping for the show, and I watched the trailer and I was like, it can't be, it's not going to look like Turok. It's just going to be dinosaurs. No, this looks like somebody put a fine sheen on the graphics of Turok and then just made new levels. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think this looks great. Like, it looks old school but fresh.
I was getting ready for the show, and I had started the trailer and looked away and looked back, and there was dinosaurs, and I was like, "What?" Like, I thought the video had changed, and then it was still I was pleasantly surprised. I love dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean, the Turok comparison is quite apt as you're running around these environments. There's a lot of like first person platforming, which I remember on the old Turoks. There's a lot of floating things for you to collect, floating spinning things, right? That is money. What's really funny about in this game, the floating, it's like floating currency, gold, right? And then you use them to buy guns. Where do you buy the gun? Oh, just an old West gun shop that happens to be on this dinosaur planet that just in caves for no reason. Absolutely. The game is not taking itself very seriously, which is good. Because especially the voice acting, wretched. This is not good voice acting. But
like intentionally so, or
I don't think so. I don't want to. I don't want to insult whoever recorded the dialogue in their closet.
one of the brothers.
But I would assume the brothers, right? But it's not the best performance in the world.
Okay. How does the gameplay feel though? Because that was one of the things with Turok is how slippery those controls felt in a good way. Is that carried over here as well too? Or
yeah,
no?
that's very much what's going on here. It's a little bit of Doom Eternal energy as well, because
I noticed the glowy bits and the guy's glow.
Yeah,
the glory kills.
I'll get to that. But you also have rocket boots that you acquire very early in the game that lets you double jump and double dash through the air. So you're kind of jumping around like Doom Guy does in Doom Eternal, and that way, except he was kind of weighty, I suppose, when he was jumping around. This is not that. It's slippery is a good way to put it. Very loose kind of controls. And it, you have a few different weapons, of course. But you're, there's no reloads, as the game's description says in the store. Ain't got no time for reload. And there's just there's a lot of delight. The weapon selection thing is even cool because it's a revolver barrel that you like flip through to get to your different weapons. It's just presented very well, very cool. Nice touch for certain people that might be into something like that. And
that person being you,
yeah, of course. But like you were saying, the glory kill kind of things are called judgment kills in this game, but they function just like in Doom. They give you health back. But some of them they're pretty cool, man. Like you're getting charged at by Triceratops. But the judgment kill, rather. Sorry. You just jump onto it, grab one of its horns off, and stab it in the eye.
It feels very God of War.
It's very over the top kills, or you're like a Velociraptor finishing move where you just get a stick of dynamite. Where do you get the dynamite? I don't know, but he stabs it into the friggin' skull of the Velociraptor and explodes it.
You're a cowboy, of course you have dynamite.
You're right. Yeah, it'd be foolish not to. Yeah, right. Sam. I think his name's Sam Judge. I want to say the main character is. He's always going to be prepared. I didn't even tell you the great premise, the deep narrative here.
Okay.
Where our sheriff is chasing an outlaw who kidnapped a farmer's daughter, and then you chase him out to the woods, and then you're trying to like arrest him, but he just gives you a creepy smile instead, and just looks up to the sky, and then you're abducted by aliens.
Oh,
where you are then performed on, and all of a sudden are super strong. That's why you can take dinosaurs apart with your bare hands. And
that's where I got the dynamite.
Dude, they gave him unlimited dynamite.
Right.
Dude, I'm kind of in love with this game.
It's an insane premise, dude. And it's carrying the right tone, at least so far. Maybe it'll get deadly serious later, though I suspect not.
Yeah, right.
But it is exactly what it wants to be, and that's great. Because it feels as though they were like, oh, they won't make Turok, I'll do it myself. Yeah. And here we are.
So this is developed by Thanos.
Yes, that's right. Josh Brolin got in the room.
Dude, this is a crazy week. Like, I feel like we've had, I can't remember the last episode where we had 3 games that we just highly recommend, like all in one episode.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, Sun and Bone, right? It's not going to change your life, right? It's not going to knock your socks off, but it is exactly, it feels like exactly the game you rented as a kid.
That is a great selling point, man. That is.
And
we need more games like this, man.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Like, we could have had this conversation in the PS5 Pro Talk. Like, I don't need realistic graphics anymore. I was always yearning for that when I was younger. I can't wait to see what the graphics are going to look like next. I'm so over it. Just give me fun games. Just that remind me of my childhood, but are still new and have that, current gen sparkle to them.
Yeah, a little bit of that current gen spit.
Yeah.
To your point about just fun games. Yeah, like whenever like I get a new glory, I gotta sound. I'm sure that's gotta be trademarked by Bethesda or something,
right?
Every time I get a new judgment kill, I do I get a grin, right? Because I'm like, in what way am I gonna rip this dude apart?
Yeah,
there's like these weird dinosaur human hybrids that show up very early into the game. And like one of their kills is just awesome, where you just like kneecap them onto the ground, and then you just like execution style, blow them away. I don't know. It's just it's very gnarly, very cool.
I'm going to check this one out. Gotta add it to the list.
I think you'd like it. Yeah, it's a shame it's not on Xbox for you, but you know,
hey, I don't have a problem playing my PS5.
Right, Astro Bot taught you how.
Yeah, right.
It reminded you could.
Right.
I heard that physical copies of Astro Bot are hard to come by. I think Kyle Boggs was saying that he went to 3 different places and could not find one.
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah.
It came with a poster.
Nice.
And it came with like an animated comic on how to play the game that Astro Bot guided you through.
That's rad.
It's pretty adorable, dude.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
A game with a manual?
Right.
What?
Yes. Pretty crazy. But anyway, that's got nothing to do with Sun and Bone, though I do recommend Sun and Bone.
Very cool. We got one other game to talk about. Mark stopped by to talk about something that sounds really cool. I'm going to play that for you right now.
Hi, I'm not Scott Clark, and I'm here with Mark Shkamansky, and we're doing Antstream Arcade.
That's right.
How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine. So what can you tell me about this game, if it's a game?
It is not a game. It is a platform in which you can play well over 1,300 retro games, from Atari to Commodore to arcade to NES and SNES. There's a couple other ones I'm forgetting, but it is a plethora of choices delivered in a Netflix-esque style method.
Interesting.
The game starts up and you get the screen with the rows, just like on Netflix, where you might have like thrillers, comedies, dramas. Here it's racing, fighting, side scrollers, stuff like that. So they separate them into different categories, and the overwhelming number of game choices just blew me away.
So what have you been playing?
So the couple that really caught my attention were, one of my favorite old Atari games was Burger Time. I don't remember it being that difficult to control, but it's still fun. I liked it. The Pac-Man on there was thankfully not the 2600 version. Instead, it was the 8-bit Atari 400 or 800 version. So the graphics there were much smoother and kinder. But the one that really jumped out at me, was an old arcade game called Map Mania. And I spoke a little more about it in the review that'll be popping up pretty soon. But I love that old arcade game, old wrestling game. A lot of fun. Gotcha.
And you're playing this on the PS5?
PS5, yes, but it's available on all the consoles. Well, Xbox and PS5. I don't know about Switch.
How is it running on the PS5?
Oh my gosh, it better than. I don't think it's actually an emulator. I think these are direct ports because they stream the games from the disc. The disc is just a delivery service. I believe that the games themselves are being streamed from some other server.
Oh, okay.
So they don't come off as like emulators. It doesn't hiccup. It doesn't have weird blips or incorrect button setups, things like that. These are ports that are meant for a PlayStation controller.
Fantastic. Is there anything else on there that you've noticed that you can point out to people?
For sure. So in addition to just having all the game choices, you can also do community competitions. So there's a global high score that you can compete up against. There are unique individual challenges that you can take part in where they're not against a community or against the globe, but instead it's just beat this boss in under 5 minutes or get 10,000 points in less than 2 minutes, things like that.
Gotcha. The Switch has some retro games on it, and inside of the game, you can pause and do some other kind of crazy things like go or rewind time and retry and that kind of stuff. Does this platform offer any kind of that services?
Not that I am aware of. I don't see that as any of the options. But what it does do, if you do let the PlayStation pause it and the PlayStation goes to sleep, when you unpause, you're still right there in the same place where you paused it. So it doesn't lose track of where you were.
Gotcha. Is this do any kind of up-resing to make the old 8-bit games look a little bit better?
No, but
No.
They look pretty good anyway. And they also, just like the old days, they don't take up your entire screen either. They're stuck in that old, more square box of the old TVs from the 80s and 90s.
Does it margin the side of your screens? I've noticed that
Yes.
some of the okay. Yeah. So it makes this little arcade game on your screen, and then inside the arcade it's playing.
Yeah, that's pretty close to how it is. Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. I've seen that done a couple of times, and I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it, but it does work for some things. So, are the margins customized to what game you're playing?
No, in most cases, I think they're just solid color.
Oh, okay. Because I've played some Mega Man games like that, and depending on what game you're playing, the margins are customized to the game. But that was
That's pretty
again
slick.
more a specific game, and with a with 1,300 games, it might be hard to kind of do that.
And I was so enamored just with the game choices and trying as many games as I could play. Honestly, I could be wrong. I should go back and double check and make sure I'm not wrong about those margins.
I don't know. I might have to try this because I saw in the trailer that I saw there was quite a few games in there that I had loved, and I
yeah.
might need to go get this.
Yes, it's a reasonable price too. I think it is $30 for a year or $100 for a lifetime.
$100 for a lifetime.
Yep. And considering that they rotate some games in and out, you also don't need to have 5 of those HDMI cables sticking out of the back of your TV because of all the retro hardwares that you purchased.
Right.
It is, I put it in the article too, one disc to rule them all. You can have almost all of those different pieces of retro hardware, but just comes out of your PlayStation.
So you got it on a disc?
Yep.
No.
I downloaded it. I did not get a physical copy.
Okay.
Sorry, old school guy coming through.
Nope. Understandable. Just wanted to clear it up. Just wanted to know. I didn't know if you would need a disc to access the platform or if it was just a key of sorts. But
yep. Mine was just a key.
All right. I think that's it. Unless you can think of anything else that you can explain.
No, it was a simple delivery method that I really appreciated. But man, you could spend hours just, even if you spent 5 minutes on each game, you'd have months of games to play.
Yeah, and there's no switching cartridges or any of that kind of stuff.
None of that. Nope. You on the PlayStation controller, you hit the center button. That's usually like a map button on any other game that I played, but you hit the center button and you go back to game selection, and then you can just pick the next game you want to play.
Perfect. That's a great delivery system for classic games.
Yes, for sure.
I think that's great. All right, so that's Antstream Arcade on the PS5, developed and published by Antstream Ltd, and we got it from Renaissance PR. Thank you, Mark, as always.
You're welcome.
And we will get back to the show.
All right.
See ya.
Later.
Thanks, Mark. As always, really appreciate it. Before we get on to our topic, want to say hello to some new people over on Facebook. First off, Recon Die, Sean Meredith, and Elena Page. Zach, you know Elena Page.
I do.
You just know her by a different name.
This is very interesting. Are you giving me a Da Vinci Code to decipher over here?
No, I'm going to tell you. I just I had to. I thought the name sounded familiar, and I checked it out. This is Mini Bomb.
Mini Bomb.
Mini Bomb. Remember Bomb from the Bomb 69?
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That is Bomb's daughter.
Hey, Mini Bomb, how you doing?
Yeah. We used to play Gears of War with her and her dad back in the day, like quite often, and she joined our Facebook group, so I had to give her a shout out.
Oh, dude, that's
back
crazy.
in my day when I played Gears of War.
I don't know, Jake. I do feel kind of ancient now.
I know, right?
A Mini Bomb no longer, I presume.
Yeah, I mean she's an adult now.
Yeah, dude. Wow, what a memory.
Yeah, we had a good time with that group.
Yeah,
and Brian and Aaron and
I feel like we got to get matching tattoos, Scott, that just say "Got room."
Got room, like just like the Gears, the cog tag.
Yeah,
got room in the middle of it.
That sounds beautiful.
You know how like the kids like they get the little heart pendants that like it say best friends but it's a heart.
Yeah,
we should get that, but instead to be like the cog tag and one says got and one says room.
Dude, I gotta look into this. That'd be amazing.
Anyway, we also had a couple of new.
Are weird.
That's right.
You understand? Gears of War is the reason that Zach and I became friends.
That's right.
Like 100% the reason that we became friends. I got a couple of new Discord members as well. I'm probably not going to pronounce these correctly, but Hiyakimaru and Sancho Di Pancho. I just fun to say. Welcome to the community. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you can, and also check out our website. You can find all of our episodes. You can actually purchase tickets for R2V2 at thegamingoutfitter.com/R2V2. Or you can also see all of our written content. Mark's review of Riddle Tower and Planes Control are both available on the site. And Jacob's review of Crime Scene Cleaner is also available for you right now. Again, thegamingoutsider.com. Finally, let's go ahead and jump into this week's From the Outside In topic. We have a saying here at The Gaming Outsider. If you stick around to the end of the episodes, you'll hear us say, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you. Might seem like we're being a little hypocritical when I bring up this week's topic, but to be clear, we're not, or at least I'm not, saying that the games we're discussing are bad. We're going to share games that we believe are overrated. Which games that are popular do you think that don't deserve nearly the amount of love and praise that they get? That's the topic. I guess I want to ask one thing though before we actually get into our specific lists, and you know what I want to avoid is I want to do what everybody on the internet when I was researching this topic, like, oh, what are some overrated games, and people just crap on games because they're popular. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to say things like Fortnite because we don't play Fortnite, and it's clearly for a completely different demographic than us.
Mm-hmm.
Although adults play Fortnite as well, I get it.
I like Fortnite.
Right.
I don't like Fortnite because of Epic.
You don't like, because it's only available on the Epic Game Store?
No, it's what Epic did in the beginning of Fortnite.
What do you mean? What did they do? Oh, it was like a tower defense game, and then
Yeah, they promised a tower defense game, and they had all this stuff with it, and then they took people's money and they changed the game completely.
Well, that stuff's still technically there, right?
It was added 2 years later.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. So anyway, I don't want this to be like a
different podcast
crapping on stuff because it's cool, you know, like trying to be hipster kind of thing, but just like genuinely games that you just don't understand why it gets so much love and praise as it does. And I'm going to tell you guys, I struggled because I had so many on my list, and I pulled them because it's a me. I feel like it's a me problem. Like it's like I don't get it. And I also struggle because I don't like to yuck other people's yum. Like I there were so many games that I'm like, I had like 4 on my list that I just wasn't gonna say because Zach's here. Like straight up, I just don't want to like.
Well, you can do that.
Every marble game.
Yeah. I mean,
that's fine.
So, but we'll get to them. So we're gonna start with Jacob. Jacob, what's on your list? I'm intrigued.
So some people might find this as a shock, but Monster Hunter is on my list. It was the first one that I thought of.
I gotta. Which one though? Right? There's a
specifically World and Rise, because
wow,
the game that came out right before that was Generations Ultimate, and that was almost a love letter to the series itself. It had a bunch because it was called Generations.
Was that the Wii U one?
No.
Okay.
Just that was on Switch.
Okay. All right.
It was on Switch. But you could go from towns that the old games had to, to see old characters that were traveling from place to place, and it made the areas and the worlds feel interconnected and a little bit alive. World did not feel that way. I understand that World went someplace else, but it took away the hardness of what I came to love about Monster Hunter. Years ago, they used to describe Monster Hunter as a good competitor for Souls games. In Souls, it was this hard, and Monster Hunter is this hard, and then they would go against each other, and which one was harder. And I feel like they've put training wheels on Monster Hunter games recently and threw it to the public, and people grab it and love it and this and that. And, maybe it's because I've played the old ones that I feel like they're doing the dishonor to the old ones, but I don't understand why the new ones are getting the praise even from the old group that they're so good, because they're missing iconic monsters. They're missing iconic strategies that you would use to fight monsters in. The game is really, really short. There's new annoying additives that take away from the beauty of the areas, and there's just no struggling in the game.
We got to remind everybody though that shorter is a completely different scope for you, right?
What you just threw me off track. What was I talking about? The short. Oh no. So if you had in the game to go from like Monster Hunter rank 1 to Monster Hunter rank 2, you might have to complete 10 missions.
Mm-hmm.
And in World, you had to complete 2. And so you do this, you do that. I played the game for probably about 3 or 4 hours, and I was more than halfway done with the game without even realizing it. And within another couple of hours, I was done with the storyline of the game, and it was just clean up afterwards.
Is that just because you're so good at it?
No, it was just the way that the game was set up, and the quests that you had to do in certain orders. Just they tell you what quests you have to do rather than you just doing the quests at random like the old games did. The old games basically was do what you can, and eventually you'll be strong enough to complete the quests that you needed to. And this one, you just did the quests they told you to do, and you progressed.
Gotcha.
So it turns into more of a checklist than it is well, not even a checklist. The old ones are checklists. This one's more of a just, monkey see, monkey do. I don't even know. And then Rise is even worse because they, there was already a love for certain characters in the game. They didn't have to force an interaction with those characters. You loved them because throughout the game, as you were playing, you learned to love these people because of who they were. And the game never had any voice lines, and they wrote in the text boxes how they talked. And so if they had a Southern accent, the words would have a Southern accent. Maybe they're missing a letter. Maybe they didn't have this. Maybe they had a Jamaican accent, and it was written like a Jamaican accent. It was weird.
Yeah, they do that really well in Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door.
Yeah,
as well.
So you knew how these characters talked, how they felt, how they did everything, and you learned about these characters through the game. And in Rise, they shove all of these characters in your face as hard as possible, and they try to make you love every single one of them, and I don't care. It takes away from what the game actually is, because it turns it into a first person's perspective. And so when you go to talk to anybody, you're 3 inches from their face and you're talking to them, and it annoys me every time.
It's very intimate. It's very Oblivion, just zooming in on people's face.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's like your overrated game is your favorite from your favorite series, but it's overrated because they went in a direction that you don't like. So it's almost like it is kind of hipster. It's like I liked it before it was cool.
There was such a challenge that came with item management, tracking, hunting, all this stuff in the game of a certain level of survival that you had to do in the game that's no longer in the game. But people love it because it's pretty, it's fun, it's hunting big monsters, it's a shadow of what it used to be. But it's it's still beloved. People of both sides say that it's a great game. And it is. I played it. I probably put 300 hours into it. But still, the end game is atrocious. But that's, again, for another time. But yeah, my overrated.
Did you play Wild Hearts?
No, I didn't. We were supposed to play that together, but you never showed up.
We were supposed to play that together?
Yeah.
Oh,
we never played that because it got such terrible reviews in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
That it was not working at launch. And so we just never went back and played it. So
I still have it. But I have it on Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, that's my little rant.
All right. Any other on your list?
We could also go round robin if you wanted time to think about it.
Oh yeah, go for it.
All right, Zach, go ahead.
Oh boy. Well, how about I will start with what I can think is the most overrated game of all time. How about that?
Okay.
Uncharted 4.
Oh.
This game is good, right? I don't think there's any way to argue it. It is a competently made game with perhaps definitely the best combat in the series. Really exciting set pieces, but I just don't think the story works. And people really praise this game for its deep narrative. I don't think the brother works as described in this game. In the original pitch for Uncharted 4 and the original teaser, the way the brother is being set up, I think absolutely worked. But with the way it's presented in this game, it just doesn't check out for Nathan as a character or his marriage to Elena. Just doesn't work for me. So that's a big misstep right at the top. But then what frustrates me is that Nathan Drake just goes through the exact same arc he went through in Uncharted 3, but everybody talks about how deep and profound it was. But it's the same arc again. Right. Which is fine, but that's what happens when you use a character too many times. That's just natural in storytelling. If you're going to keep going back to the same person, that's fine. It's just it always frustrated me because people really talked about, oh, what a beautiful arc he's got in the story. I'm like, it's the same one we saw 5 years earlier, though.
Right.
Did you already forget? And I understand a major part of it is Uncharted 4 sold way better than any of the other Uncharteds. So for a lot of people, this is either the only one they played or the one they played first.
Yep.
Right.
I get it.
So that definitely plays a part, but
I really want to go back and play through those games. Like,
they're great. I will say every time I replay Uncharted 4, obviously my expectations have shifted, right? So I always appreciate it a little bit more. But every time I'm still just like, how do people fawn over this story?
Right. To me, 4 is the least memorable.
Okay.
In terms of set pieces and fun stories. Like, I remember, all I can remember from 4 is, like you said, just trappings of the brother story. And I remember them playing Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
And I remember a really fun thing at the beginning where he was shooting targets in his attic or something.
Yeah, I thought that was
that was just a cute little thing.
It was a great little intro for sure.
But I don't remember much of the rest of it. Like, I remember the set pieces from 2, like hanging off of the train off of the end of a cliff and running along a train. You know, that whole sequence was awesome. 3, the underwater, weren't you like in a cruise ship or something that was
the capsize? Yeah, that was an awesome moment. Yeah,
so cool. Or even the first one, just like right on a jet ski with Elena behind you, and like just awesome moments. The horrible boss fight at the end of 3.
Or, well, there's 2. Is that where you're like running around the tree? Is there anything of?
Oh, is that 2?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
That was dumb.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know, man. Uncharted 4.
Okay,
severely overrated. Still good. Right. That's the important part to point out, right? It's not a bad game by any stretch.
Well, that's what I was trying to get across at the beginning. Like, just because you say something's overrated doesn't mean we don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's things to like about it. We're not talking about bad games. We're just talking about ones that don't deserve quite as much love as they get. So round robin goes to me.
Scotty.
I was shocked nobody mentioned this one on lists, or maybe you guys have it, but I have never understood the pure adoration for the Kingdom Hearts games.
Oh, you called me harsh last week when I said I would go back in time and destroy them.
I didn't. I wasn't even thinking about that when I picked this one. I really wasn't thinking about that, but like, I could not wait to play that game because I love Disney movies and I love video games, and I get to play as a character who goes through like all of these Disney movies. I thought the combat was awful. I did not understand what was going on combat-wise at all.
Oh my god, I love the combat in the first. At least I only really played the first one, but I love the combat. Oh, I played the PSP one as well, but
I wanted to murder Donald. I felt like he was useless. Or I just remember something about his character, like he would just make stupid decisions, or like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
No, you're right. The party AI was subpar in those in that game. Yeah.
And then like I tried to, when I didn't play 2. Again, to me this game was like not terrible. I just did not. It wasn't fun. I found myself playing it just because I wanted to see what the next Disney animated movie world that I was going to experience was. And that's what pushed me forward, but I never felt the desire to go to 2. And I did 3 because we were doing the podcast by that point. And there was like a recap of the story, like leading up to 3, because then they had like the DS ones.
Yeah, right.
Whatever,
yeah, of course.
Whatever
and they're all essential to the canon.
So I'm watching this recap thing, and this story doesn't make any freaking sense at all. Like, it just seems like the most convoluted thing to make people that are fans of the series go, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was my Kingdom Hearts 2 experience, because I loved the first one, and then played the intro of the second one and was already so annoyed by how convoluted everything got that I just stopped playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my number one is Kingdom Hearts. I've just never like I understand people you like it, but I feel like that game gets a pass because it's got the Disney license attached to it. And like, what other games do you get to live in those worlds up to that point?
Yeah, well, I was being facetious last week about destroying the franchise, because I do think the idea of taking Disney weirdly serious is a fun idea.
Yeah,
but they went too Nomura with it.
All right, circling back to Jacob. You got another one?
I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this.
That's like everybody's opening sentence.
Yeah, well, because there's so many beloved titles, and there's so many people that are just they fawn over everything. And how could you ever hate this? And blah blah whatever. And it's not hate; it's just a misunderstanding. Halo.
Oh,
what? When the first game came out, I know there was like a book involved with it and whatever. But yeah, okay. So decent story. Did the gunfighting was whatever there, but I never saw the attraction of why it was so just, oh, this is one of the greatest games of all time, blah blah whatever. I need to play through it 400 times. Like I played 3 and that was okay. That was fun. I was playing with a couple of friends. We did the campaign together. But other than that, never touched a Halo. They've never interested me. Just never sparked that level of joy in a game that other things were at the time were, speaking to me about, and Halo was just never there. And then when I actually
every other Halo player,
yeah.
like kind of like how like every other Star Trek movie is good.
Yeah,
but not that way about Halo.
I tried Halo. I gave it a couple of attempts and got so far into it and was just like, there's nothing here for me. So I don't know why so many people are just die-hard fans.
I think there's a lot of base love for that game because, that was the beginning of the Xbox era, for one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of revolutionized first-person shooters. It was not the first-person shooter.
They had a flashlight.
I mean, that was a big deal. That was a big deal.
That was a big deal that the Xbox had a separate button for the flashlight. Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah, they had the black and white buttons on that thing. I forgot about that.
The white button. I think the black button switch your grenades and the white button is your flashlight. Sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Those first Halos were great, but that's what this is about, right? It's about
there's the hate. There's the hate.
There's no hate. Hey, you're allowed to think it's overrated. I mean, they're great games, of course. But
you're sleeping with one eye open tonight because Zach's gonna come kill me in my sleep.
I think the music really sold that game too. That theme music is just so iconic.
Yeah. Now I do think Halo precipitous drop off with Halo 4 though. That game's no good. Halo 5 is terrible. But Infinite kind of redeemed it. Although it's set up a lie.
Yeah, right. Infinite.
Proclaimed best one is ODST.
Yeah, that one's incredible.
I have no idea.
That's great.
I have no idea. Never played it.
Yeah, Infinite. Still waiting for that story DLC they set up at the end. That'll be great. Can't wait to get to that.
Yeah, we thought that was the beginning of a whole lot of stuff like that, and that didn't happen.
Yeah.
What happened to the co-op? Wasn't there supposed to be co-op for the campaign?
Well, split screen co-op they gave up. Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing.
Come on. Anyway, Zach, what's your next one?
Embarrassing way to treat your flagship franchise. Okay. So another one. I've mentioned it here before, but it's God of War 2018. Again, a really good game. I like this game a lot. I looked back; it was my number 4 game that year. So I really like God of War, but this masterpiece everybody's propping it up to be, I don't think so. No. God of War 2018 was a wonderful reinvention of Kratos' journey, an excellent game. I dare to say a great game, but there are some clear pacing issues. Right, everything that happened in that Dark Elf Kingdom, absolutely bloated. And there are also some plot beats that, if you knew Norse mythology, the game treats them like they're huge plot twists, but they are not.
Yeah.
If you know Norse mythology, and I don't feel like that was a problem with the Greek games. I feel like they kind of they almost trusted the audience more to know about Greek mythology, and it felt like the first reboot at least did not expect you to know Norse mythology, which seemed especially frustrating in a post MCU world where I'm sure people got interested via Thor or whatever.
Right.
But outside of that, yeah, it was just it didn't hit like it should have. There were some incredible moments, right? Like when there is like the connection to his past. I don't want to give it away, but when you have that moment of him kind of reclaiming the monster he used to be, I mean, there's some powerful stuff in this game, no doubt. And it's set up for a really excellent sequel that I haven't played yet. But yeah, no, this first
got some bad news for you.
You don't think it's excellent?
I liked it, but it's even more bloated than the first one, in my opinion.
I don't know. I've softened on slow, long games quite a bit, but my problem with God of War 2018 was like everything that happened in that Dark Elf Kingdom, like it just felt like it didn't really serve even.
It's like an offshoot, like it should have been a whole different game,
like a side quest almost. Like it didn't even really feel, because I don't mind if story doesn't progress plot, but then it should kind of show us something interesting about the characters, and it didn't do that either. It just felt like we were filling up some time.
Okay.
But
I've got one other one. I only have two on my list because somebody took mine in the comments, which we'll get to shortly.
Well, apparently you were afraid to offend me with several other choices.
Yeah, I'm not talking about those.
I assume I know. I assume I know one of them.
Spider.
Oh, I like Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2016?
2018.
Was it?
Yeah, 2018. PlayStation had a big year.
That's great.
Oh, of course it was, yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Pokemon
all of them, generally.
I mean, just in general, like I don't have a specific one. I haven't given them probably a fair shot. We did that one episode of Break the Seal where CB made me play like the original. Was it Pokemon Red?
Yeah.
I think was the first one I played, and I'm like, I could see why people would think I'd like this because I like checklists and everything, but the combat just never did anything for me. Like it was very rock paper scissors, but it was super simple there, but then it was complicated with a Pokedex thing for me. I don't know. I feel like I was just too old for that series. I was not the right age range when that first came out. I just missed it. But the just absolute adoration for it. Like people just go like it's one of the biggest franchises on the planet. And I just it's one I hesitated to put because it's clearly a me problem. You know, million Elvis fans can't be wrong kind of situation, right?
Right, sure. The biggest media franchise ever, right?
Seriously.
Yeah, so what do you
and I just have somehow missed it. Like if I watch a TikTok video and somebody references some random Pokemon, I just feel like I'm left out.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand that reference at all.
Yeah.
What Butterfree? I choose you.
Is that a
Jacob
is a meme some guy?
It's a meme. Like it's like
Butterfree,
Jacob,
no.
It's these people that make these videos of like popular cartoons and they dub them with different voices. And it was King of the Hill, like choosing
sounded like King of the Hill, yeah.
Yeah.
Hank Hill mains Butterfree.
I don't understand anything that's going on in the video, but it made me laugh.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, Pokemon is just something that just never stuck with me. If I were 10 years younger, it probably would have been perfect. Like it would have been my thing.
I feel like we're going to have a lot of that problem too as we're going through this, because if you didn't play something on release and came back 5 years later, there's already been either clones or games that have followed in the footsteps, or whatever, higher quality even. But then you go, oh well, you didn't play this, you should go back and play that. Well, then you're already ruined yourself by playing all the better games that came out afterwards that did it. They saw what they were working with and then did it better. And now you're going to go back and play the first version of it, and it's not going to stick as well. And so, from a different point of view, you're going, oh, well, I don't know why people love this game. Well, it was the first game. That's why it was beloved. It was the first one.
Well, I mean, you could, like, when my wife and I first got married, I was like, you've never seen The Princess Bride? Well, like we're watching that right now. And in my mind, there's no way my wife is not going to love this movie. She didn't grow up with it. She didn't have the nostalgia for it. And that movie looks like intentionally looks like an old movie. Like it looks like it's on a set. It looks like a play almost, right?
Yeah.
And the humor is a little quirky and, this kind of stuff. And it just didn't do anything for her because she didn't have that love for it that I had because I experienced it when I was so young.
Mm-hmm.
And Pokemon is like a prime example of that like if you didn't grow up with it, it probably missed the mark for you. And I feel like that's what happened to me.
Your wife didn't love Princess Bride? That's inconceivable.
No. See what you did there.
Yeah.
I'm out. So, Jake, you got any more?
No, I had a bunch in my head earlier, and then we started talking about Astro Bot, and they all just kind of flew out the window. But
when I got to play Astro Bot,
yeah,
and say that I've overrated it.
It is. It's overrated completely. You're living off nostalgia. Games.
I mean, that's part of it, but I feel like I'm getting into that. Don't rope me into more talk about Astro Bot.
I was trying.
Zach's got a list.
I do have a bit of a list. The only game I do think is bad on my overrated games is, and this
no such thing as a bad game. No such thing as a bad game. Shut up.
You're right. I'm so sorry. You know what? I apologize. You know what? Never mind. Next topic, please. Is Horizon Zero Dawn. I do not like this game. I thought it was exceedingly. See, there you go, Scott. See, now you got to pick on me for one of mine. I do not like Aloy. I think I like Ashley Birch in other roles, but I think she's boring as hell as Aloy. And I don't know if it's the character or the very stiff conversation animation in the game or what, but it was so boring listening to people talk in Horizon Zero Dawn. Could not get into it. I also found the combat, and I think you said this issue was resolved a little in the sequel, Scott. But as soon as you get that like tripwire gun in Zero Dawn, you that's pretty much the win button for the game. It's hard not to use it. I understand, you control the buttons you press and all that, but when there's an easy solution for every enemy is just to tie them down real quick, and I don't know, it just didn't work for me. And also the game is quite lengthy. There's a lot to do in there. I did see it all the way through because I really wanted to love it. I was very excited for Horizon Zero Dawn when it was coming out. I was convinced it was going to be incredible. So it was a real slow process of me having to admit of like, I don't like this game.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to like the second one. That's like two games where, between that and God of War, you avoided the sequels. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, at least in God of War's case, I did want to play it. I just didn't want to play it when it came out. Yeah. I was like, I wasn't ready for. I hadn't developed a hunger for more of that slow-paced God of War yet. But now I do. Now I'm ready, especially with, Astro Bot reminding me that I should be playing it.
Yep.
Scott, are you sure you don't want to use one of these examples of games I like?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Games that I like.
I don't know. I'm worried he thinks he's got.
I'm
worried he thinks I have thin skin or something.
Okay, I'm not gonna say the name of it, but you're gonna know which one I'm talking about when I say that the biggest reason why I refuse to put it on my list is that I haven't finished it, and I haven't seen what that game has to offer.
Okay,
I know what you're talking about.
So you know what I'm talking about.
I suspect.
Yeah.
He looks confused.
Yeehaw.
I'll come back to it when we get to our comments. How about I say that?
Okay. Intrigued.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so I guess I have more. Mario Kart.
Did you write them on your hand?
I did. Yeah, I did. Because I didn't want to forget them, dude. Mario Kart 8. I think
I kind of considered putting that on my
really?
list.
Okay. Well, I'm happy about that. I think in terms of the Mario Kart games, I don't find this to be one of the better ones. I feel like it's got a little bit of overcomplication, with all the kart customization. But even if aside from that, it's like every time I have a friend over or somebody wants to play a multiplayer game, when they would come over, it was always Mario Kart. Everybody wants to play Mario Kart, and I don't.
Is that overrated or is that oversaturation?
Well, I didn't. When I purchased Mario Kart 8 for Switch and played it, I was like, "Oh, this doesn't." I don't know if it's because I'm older or what, or if it's just not Mario 64, but something about it just didn't click for me the same way. So even outside of that, and then, there is an oversaturation issue, but it must mean that everybody else loves it, right? Because everybody always wants to play it when they want to play a multiplayer game, right? So,
well, it's accessible. Like everybody knows how to play Mario Kart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just couldn't.
But I'm actually with you, and I'm glad you brought that up because I adored Mario Kart 64 and Double Dash.
Oh
was
yeah,
great.
yeah, Double Dash great.
But even the original Mario Kart on Super Nintendo was like it was just such a new thing to do with racing. And by the time we got to 8, like I don't even remember which one was 6. I don't even remember what 5. Which one was Double Dash was 5, right?
I think that's no way, right?
Mario
Maybe
Kart and
4?
then Mario
Maybe
Kart
3 or 4. I don't know, dude. Who
64.
knows?
Yeah.
Because the Super Nintendo.
And then so by the time we got to 8, I just felt like it felt a little been there, done that. Even though the controls were fine, you could still do the like turbo slide thing and all that. The levels didn't feel as exciting as they did, even though they looked newer.
Yeah.
But there was just something cool about Wario Stadium, this giant jump, and now I've got this like paraglider thing that just makes those jumps less cool.
It does. Yeah, I've always thought that. I always thought it made it less exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really solid answer because I mean, we did a Mario Kart tournament at Extra Life one year at Stoy's house up in Milwaukee, and the first year we did Mario Kart 64 and I had a blast, and the year after that we did Mario Kart 8 and I was just not into it. I was just not having fun. So
yeah.
I thought of another one.
Okay.
Dude, lay it on us.
Final Fantasy VII. God, I hate that game.
Scott, do you still have that list of people we don't invite back? Is that still on that?
No, I don't know if that game just hit the age group perfectly, but it caught fire with a group of people and then stuck. And I just do not see why everyone loves that specific one so much more. 8 stuck with me more than 7 did, and no one even cares about 8. But 7 is just this like holy grail of what Final Fantasy is, was, and ever will be, and has been made like 1,000 times.
Well, 7 was the first like mainstream one, right? That like hit everybody.
Yeah,
like, everybody was playing a JRPG when Final Fantasy 7 came out.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just the time that it was released, and it just hit a certain demographic of people, and then it just caught fire, and that was it. But like, 8 didn't have the same effect on people as it did. 9 didn't have the same effect on it. Like 10, 10-2, all those games kind of just fell off, but 7 was just prevalent in people's minds for years.
Yeah.
What's interesting?
Did you ever finish it?
Go ahead.
Did you ever finish it?
No.
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 Do you like JRPGs?
Yeah, I like turn-based games.
Huh. Interesting.
I like all games. I'm a gamer.
I gotta find that video and watch that speedrun of Final Fantasy VII that I keep saying I'm gonna watch.
Oh yeah, I should probably send that to you. Again,
Yeah.
I sent it to you before.
Yeah, you did. I just didn't get around to watching it. I need to bookmark it or something.
Let's say you didn't pop that one into your watch later. I see.
Maybe I did. I don't watch YouTube as much as you. So
okay, understood.
All right.
He jumps and does a backflip, clips to the wall, and kills God. Like
sure. I still have 2. I have 2 more I need to get out there, Scott, before we move on, if that's okay.
Okay.
Final Fantasy X is one of them, because people, I don't know, this might be age thing, but people I grew up with love Final Fantasy X. Still to this day, I think it is a good game. It is not a great one. I also get personally upset at the love I see of Final Fantasy X, because people always attack Final Fantasy 13 for being linear, but Final Fantasy X is just as linear. Mm-hmm. The only difference is in 10 you can walk backwards if you want, though there's nothing to do. And in 13 you can't go back. You can't walk backwards. But either way, you only have the one where you can only go straight. And 13 at least opens up at some point in a significant way.
Right.
Was Final Fantasy 12 the one that didn't line up? Like you could run around a combat area and kind of attack randomly?
Yeah, that was 12, yeah.
Okay, so that was another one that I absolutely don't understand why people loved it, because they were like, "Oh, it's not turn-based. You still have to wait to attack."
Yeah,
it's turn-based.
It is certainly turn-based.
The things curve and hit you and have a chance to miss. A chance. That doesn't mean it's no.
Well, people talk highly of it now. When 12 came out, at least people I knew, were not stoked about it. I don't know what the general consensus was.
Was that MMO? It
had the MMO style combat, but it was not an MMO.
Okay.
It reminded me of Quest 64.
Wow. That's pretty damning.
Brutal.
But you'd walk into an area, you'd get into like a little battle scene, it would put a bubble around you, and then you ran around the bubble and did your attacks.
Yeah.
And so
Hey, Parasite Eve did that, and it was awesome.
that was Parasite Eve.
That was also different. Yeah.
That was a little different.
Because that one had like a command list and stuff. 12 just kind of like, you're just kind of watching the battle play out in some ways.
Yeah, you're waiting for the timer to get full so you can do an attack again.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter where you went. So my friend played it for a long time, and I said, fine, you know what, go into the bubble, go into a battle, and just stand there. And I'm sure you'll have the exact same outcome as if you actually ran around. And he did. Because all of the attacks would always hit you and would just have a chance to miss. You couldn't dodge out of the way. You couldn't jump or, whatever. So it didn't matter if they moved or stood still or, whatever. You had the exact same experience. They just gave you an option to move.
Right.
Gotcha.
Which made it feel worse.
Yeah, it did actually.
And then the last one is a game I love. Okay. Love this game, but it's overrated. And that's Elden Ring.
Ooh.
All right.
Interesting.
This game, don't get me wrong, it's great. Okay? But let's all settle down. All right. It's not Bloodborne. It's not as good as Dark Souls. I don't even think it's as good as Dark Souls 3. All right? It's just Dark Souls, but open world. That's cool. Don't get me wrong.
Bloodborne is overrated.
That's out of your get him off the show. But Elden Ring, yeah, it has it is magical that you just keep finding more and more secrets. That's great. But that is also the thrill of all of their games, right? It's just structured differently, so I guess it hits people differently. And that's cool. I'm glad people love it. But guys, let's settle that, people out here calling it the greatest game of all time, a masterpiece. Whoa. I don't know if you guys played the back third of the game like I did, but it sure ain't. All right?
I also feel like the reason that game is praised as much as it is because it coincided. Didn't that come out during COVID?
Yeah, it was a perfect COVID game, definitely.
COVID game, and TikTok was just on the rise.
Well, I think it was like in the winding days of COVID, but I think a lot of office workers still didn't have like return to office. So you're right. Yeah, it was a big COVID hit.
So it was a very, again, it became popular because other people heard about it and wanted to see what it was about and wound up liking it and said, hey, these games are cool. Yeah. And then people like you were like, yeah, we've been playing these kinds of games for years.
Yeah.
It added an open world crafting idea to Dark Souls, which it didn't need at all.
Yeah, I agree. And also the way they do their quests in their games is a little more frustrating in an open world setting.
Yeah,
because it's it is like if you don't meet Jim on the roof at the third Sunday, he'll be dead and you'll miss out for forever.
Yeah,
and that's already hard to pull off in Dark Souls or Bloodborne. And those are condensed games.
They would give you a name and not a location, and then you would just hope to one day run across them in the dark alley of whatever town that you stumbled into randomly. Whereas all the Souls games are like, oh well, when you meet this guy, okay, so I just follow the path and eventually I'll meet him.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's easier to decipher and feel smart. I know Elden Ring patched in later, like telling you where the characters were that you had already met, so that was something. But that was also after I got done, platinuming the game, so I had a different experience. So, yeah.
All right, that is our list of overrated games. Let's see what the community said. We asked you guys on Facebook, Discord, and Twitter. We'll start over on Facebook. Matt Sattler says, just simply BioShock. This one hurts.
I mean,
this one hurts.
Well, it's not true, so that helps.
Well, this is why I brought up the whole, if you experienced other things and then went back and played it, maybe that was his experience. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he just didn't like the game. And that worked.
Well, I know there were some issues with the controls in the original Xbox 360, right? Didn't they mitigate that in the
I don't
Rapture collection or whatever? People complained about the controls and I never had a problem.
Oh yeah,
with it.
I don't remember any control issues.
I didn't either, but people always complain about it.
I think Jacob might be right. I think BioShock might have been a game you would have had to be near release to truly appreciate.
There's a lot of hype for that game.
Yes.
Well, and it also kind of did stuff with narrative that hadn't really been done before, but has been done about 1,600 times since.
Mm-hmm.
Playing with the video game format to kind of trick you a little bit. wasn't as common then. Like the occasional game like Shadow of the Colossus might have done it, but BioShock, kind of blew it
You
up.
like to play Castlevania?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Jake, you want to read the next one?
Oh, Mr. Kevin Honenberg. Please, everyone, don't hate me, but Minecraft is my answer here. I seriously never understood the appeal. I'm happy for the billions that love it, but I've tried a handful of times to discover the same joy that they did. But alas, isn't the same for me.
He didn't say alas.
What an interesting voice you give Kevin.
Yeah.
That's how I imagine Kevin.
Is that what he is?
Not screaming at me.
Does he scream at you during D&D?
Oh,
Yes, he does.
Yes, constantly. I have PTSD.
I'm actually with Kevin on Minecraft. Again, I feel like this is a theme. It all comes down to the age, right? Like this was a huge thing with kids when it came out. And by all accounts, I should love Minecraft because I love playing with Legos. It's like having an unlimited supply of Legos just digitally and build anything you want. I should love this game.
I feel bad because I feel like Minecraft was never aimed at children up until a certain time. It was just open world, move things around, blah blah whatever. Because the original did either of you play the original game when it came out?
No, I didn't. The only Minecraft I played was on my Vita.
So there was no training wheels, there was no recipes, there was no anything. Everything that you did was trial and error. It didn't tell you how to build anything or craft anything. Everything you did was just by the seat of your pants. And so when you figured out how to
rad.
If you figured out how to make a pickaxe, that was great. Figuring out how to do torches, that was great. But everything was just, okay, I have these items, I'll put them randomly in the crafting table and see what I come up with. And then at some point they were like, oh, there's a new demographic playing the game. We need to help them out to keep our game going. And so they added all the crafting recipes and stuff that you could do, because in the game it shows you in the crafting area of what they would look like in the crafting table. And that was never there. You just had to guess. But once you knew how to build one, you kind of knew how to build another, because they kind of kept the shapes of stuff. So a bucket is iron, iron, iron. Okay, it makes a U that kind of looks like a bucket. A pickaxe is stick, stick, stick. And if you're using stone, then it's stone, stone, stone. So once you knew how to make that and figured it out, the next thing was iron. It was the exact same thing. You just replaced the stone. But now it's just so easy.
Click a button.
Yeah, you just click a button and boom, it's made. You don't need to actually have the trial and error in the beginning to actually get into the game. So I don't think the beginning of the game was really aimed towards children, because it was really actually hard to get into. But as it grew and as it got more popular and whatever, they started making changes so a wider audience could play. I
think they made the right call.
Well,
like in hindsight.
You mean based on it being the best-selling game of all time?
Right.
Yeah. They probably feel confident about it. I'm sure Notch and his billions of dollars feels great about it too.
Yeah.
I bought that game. I bought that game when it was $12.
Yeah, back when it was you were there pretty early then, man.
Yeah, I was.
Dude,
I mean, it just was like $20. Did it max out at $20? It wasn't like I don't know, expensive game.
I bought it from their website.
Right. It
was years and years ago, before it was ever.
It's kind of it was an innovator in early access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Zach, you want to take the next one?
Sure. Noe Bushman writes in the newer Call of Duty games, a Grand Theft Auto 5, Starfield, and a few others I can't think of, but I know they're there. And Brian Regatti also added Call of Duty and GTA.
I don't know, man. I still like the campaigns of Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean we're not multiplayer guys, right? So I'm only judging on the campaign.
That's the thing is, like, I could have said multiplayer in general, but again, that's not a fault of the game. That is it's not in my world. I'm just not a massive multiplayer game guy.
I played MW2 for about 6 years, and the old ones in the multiplayer setting were just different. There wasn't all this, checks and balances that happened with the guns every other week, or new things that came out, every other month or whatever, or things to buy. It was just, you made a class, whatever worked for you, whatever you liked, you went out there and you shot the other person. The idea of a meta or the most effective tactic or whatever the hell you want to call it wasn't really there. Like there was maybe one gun that people enjoyed using more than something else, but there was ways around it if you just were better than the person using the other gun. But now I feel like with the revolving metas and the buffs and the the DLCs and all that kind of stuff that they try to throw into these games, it ruins the experience because you're trying to sell something that is not what the game should be. You're trying to sell a product of DLC versus trying to sell gameplay. And the gameplay is what we want. We don't want the DLC. And so that leaves a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth that grew up with the whole Call of Duty stuff.
Right. I mean, back when I did briefly play Call of Duty multiplayer, it was during the 360 era. But what was nice about it was, you could always just hop in for a few games. But yeah, trying to decipher the menus now to even understand what's happening is an exercise. And then, yeah, you basically have to treat it like a full-time job, it feels like, to keep up with it.
Yeah, and they're definitely created for people that have been along for the Call of Duty ride since the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you said, those menus are like, what are these? What, I don't want to mess. Can I just get in the game and shoot people? Like,
right.
I don't know.
No.
Not allowed.
Yeah, it just seems so over my head. But
the old story of a lot of the old games, Black Ops 2, Ghosts, MW2 and 3, they were good. You play them through, and it felt like you were actually doing something. It wasn't connected to the multiplayer, and now it feels like it's all kind of interconnected, especially with Vanguard, Cold War, and all those things having one game, and they're all it's like 300 gigabytes, and so you're sacrificing a third of your memory to this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for people to get behind a game like that.
Yeah, not hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
No.
Moving on to Discord, Brandon Lloyd says simply Fortnite. The building sucks and it's cartoony looking.
Well, they removed the building last year, right, or the year before?
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel it was at least a year ago, if not the year before. So,
I mean, it's there.
I don't have a problem with the cartoony nature of it. I have a problem with like throwing in, random characters like John Wick and stuff
right
into Fortnite. That just bothers me for some reason. Like it just feels out of place. But it sells, does really well.
It's part of the skins in the DLC that just you're selling that rather than selling gameplay.
Right.
But
$20 or $30 skins.
That game is still popular.
Yep.
Like still.
Well, I think the core, non-building, the no build mode, I think is fun. But
yeah. I remember you talking about that. You jumped in last year, I think.
Yeah, maybe or the year before, maybe. I think it must have been 2 years ago, I think. And they got rid of the building.
It's been a while.
Time flies.
Yeah.
I played Fortnite for about a year, and I was playing the tower defense thing when it finally released.
Nice.
And then I was just like, nah, there's too much. There's so much of the time and effort being put into the other part of the game that it wasn't getting what it want. I wasn't getting what I wanted out of the company or the game itself. So I gave up.
He was there before it was cool.
Shut up.
He sure was.
I watched it get announced. Shut up.
Jacob, you're up next.
Oh, Bill Gardner. Oh, God. I'll get eaten alive for it. But Breath of the Wild, it was a good looking game for the hardware, but the world wasn't that great, and it was mostly barren. It had its moments, but the greatest of all time love. What?
The
greatest of all time love.
My pardon. Excuse me. It had its moments, but the greatest of all time love, it gets never made sense to me. Link Between Worlds will always be the best Zelda game, in my opinion. The new Zelda game, where they gender swapped Zelda, actually looks good. Gender swapped Zelda. Why?
That's right. They finally made Zelda a girl.
Yeah, finally. All these years. The new Zelda game where they gender swap Zelda actually looks good. It looks to be doing something a little bit different. I can't wait to see what they do after the crafting and Tears of the Kingdom.
I know you guys are expecting me to like just land blast this comment. I actually agree with him.
I do.
He wants
kill this guy.
He wants. Oh my God.
Sorry.
No, like it is a lot of it. Like that game feels like a series of mini dungeons, and there's an overworld to get to each of them. You know, and then obviously like a boss for each of these 4 things.
Legend of
enjoyed
Zelda in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And I felt even more so with Tears of the Kingdom, a game I never finished. I didn't finish Tears of the Kingdom. I got halfway through it and just got distracted, which I know that's a big deal. Didn't finish a Zelda game. But
Yeah.
and this is the comment, Zach.
What? Breath of the Wild?
That this comment about Breath of the Wild and him talking about it feeling barren, and I think he said something about maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was somebody else. Somebody else in the comments that I didn't put here said, yeah, like everyone says, well, that's the point of Breath of the Wild. It was supposed to feel barren.
Uh-huh.
That's part of the story and all this kind of stuff. And it reminded me of another game that had a very barren open world that someone told me that, well, yeah, that's kind of the point if you pay attention to the story. And that was the Overrated game that I did not mention.
What the hell game are you talking about?
Nier Automata.
Oh. Well, that is the point.
No, that's the point of Breath of the Wild as well.
Well, I guess I don't really think Automata as open world. It's kind of like it's got an overworld like Ocarina of Time, I guess. But so therefore, I didn't expect it to be popular like an overworld.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
I'm not trying to. I don't want to be overly defensive. Although you're out of your mind, of course.
No. Like I t-balled this up for you by prepping it.
Friend of the show, Marina Ryan, just unsubscribed, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so thanks for that.
Well, no, and I told you that the reason I didn't want to bring it up is because I haven't finished that first playthrough to see what makes this game so special. So it doesn't feel fair for me to say it's overrated because I don't know. Because there are people that I didn't even know played games that much that played this game and said it's like this great, amazing thing, and I don't know why.
No,
and someday I will experience it.
You're allowed to think it's overrated. It's okay. What do you think I'm gonna? Do you think I'm gonna hurt you?
No, I think a lot of other people are going to hurt me.
No. Look, I wanted to hurt
like
Jacob early when he insinuated I was a big Marvel fan. Okay, so like I'm already my fire is already in another direction. Don't worry about you.
All right, you got the next one, Zach.
Mark. Well, real quick, Breath of the Wild, if I may. I know the episode's long.
Yeah.
No, continue.
Never mind. Jacob says no, and he's the guest who. But. Breath of the Wild is an interesting game to me because when it came out, I basically, I feel like a lot of people bought a Switch for Breath of the Wild, right? And then it was incredible. And I played over 100 hours of it, loved it, but like every time I think about it, I don't think of it that fondly. And it's interesting. It feels like it aged poorly in my mind, and I feel like if I went back to play it, I don't think I would like it, or at least I would be like, this is okay. There's just something weird about that game. But there was, when it came out, maybe it was because of the excitement of the Switch as well, going to handheld. I was just going to
say that.
So maybe that really helped. But yeah, it's a fascinating game. And that's why, that's part of why I don't want to play Tears of the Kingdom, because I just suspect I'm not going to like it, and it's going to like taint my Breath of the Wild memories.
I will say Tears of the Kingdom, even though I quit it, I was really plugging along. I was having a good time, but it's been so long that I feel like I would have to relearn everything in that game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I don't want to start that one over. I just don't.
No way.
I was also like, I'm weird when it comes to playing games alongside CB, because like he's very competitive in how quickly he gets through, and he likes to tell me how much further ahead of me he is.
Yeah.
Than I am. And for some reason, when he does that, I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna find another game. Like I'm tired. I don't want to race.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I want to enjoy this. So I just kind of fell off of it. But yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, I'll read this comment from Mark Zamansky. Okay, I need a moment to prepare myself for the hatred that I'm about to receive from the podcasters. Control. Stubbornly difficult until I turned off all damage and turned on one-hit enemy kills. A stupidly complex map bordering on excessive. I wanted to love it because of the David Lynch style story. The story kept me playing longer than I wanted to. It was just not for me.
Yeah, I just don't remember that game being that hard. And I suck at games.
I've heard that from Jacob.
Yeah.
No, from me?
Yeah.
I also didn't think the map was overly complex. People said that about Jedi Fallen Order too.
I remember that. Well, I remember Control getting a lot of complaints about his map, so I'm just going to have to assume that you and I I didn't have any issues with it either.
We like the Metroid Prime style of map, I think.
Yeah.
Was that in both of those?
I don't think it was in Control, though. I feel like Control had kind of a flat-looking map.
Did it?
I don't really remember, to be honest with you. I just remember I remember hearing complaints about that on other shows, podcasts, and just being like, I don't get it. I never really felt lost.
It just clicked with us better than Mark.
I guess I could understand it being difficult because it does sort of have a lot more going on than a lot of shooters, right? Because you're using telekinesis and you're floating and you're also shooting and you're air dodging. Like there is a lot going on. So if you can't get your head around it, I can understand how it would be kind of a frustrating time. But I would have thought personally that, the story alone would have compelled me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, we obviously fell in love with it all over, every which way. But
well, and here's the thing: is like I want him to experience that moment in Control.
Oh yeah, sure.
But the only way you can experience that moment is by playing up to it, because it's not going to feel the same if you watch a YouTube video. Or
also, if you're referring to that moment that we're dancing around, people love that. But that moment is very combat heavy. So if you're having a hard time with the combat, you're just not going to enjoy it.
Right. But okay, I'll just say it: the Ashtray Maze
was
a glorious piece.
You think 5 years is enough time to just say the name of an area?
Yeah. I corrected myself.
My God!
Man, Jacob's harsh on you, huh?
I know,
and Mark,
man. He loves me.
We're going easy on you because you do a lot of good stuff for us. Don't you worry.
Tim Pollen says, I'll be that guy and beat up on God of War Ragnarok. Too long, and the map was garbage.
Maybe I shouldn't play it after all.
I mean, I feel like you already know the fun surprises.
Bloat.
No, I do want to play it.
Boy.
Oh my God, does he say that? What are the odds?
Boy.
He does have that line in the trailer that was so cool. It almost wanted me to feel alone, where he's like, death can have me when it earns me or something like that.
Earns me?
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. That honestly, that line did sell me on like, okay, I'm going to play this game now.
Yeah,
like,
it's so good.
It's good.
Dude, no, I do want to play it. Maybe I'll just treat it like a book, like a really long book where you just kind of pick away at it.
Like I'm doing with Baldur's Gate 3?
Yeah, maybe like that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Boy.
All right, that is the topic. Thank you, everybody that contributed. Had a lot of fun with that one, and I think we got to do it without being too hateful. So
yeah, I don't think so.
I mean,
next week's topic, I am itching to talk about some 3D platformers. So we're going to talk about our favorite 3D platformers from the past. After this week playing Astro Bot, I just wanted to go back to the well and talk about some of the best ones or underrated ones or obscure ones. We're going to talk about that next week. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. This episode, as always, is produced by Kevin Honigford. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. Again, his website is stemagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Jacob, thanks so much for joining us, man. It's been a lot of fun talking with you.
No problem. Thanks for having me again.
Any parting words or recommendations you'd like to share with our listeners?
No.
All right. Zach, how about you?
Sure, briefly. So Peter Dinklage started a new independent Western that came out this past weekend. And I thought you would love it just because the nearest theater that had it was over 30 minutes away, and I absolutely drove to see it.
Oh, my goodness.
And let me tell you, it was mediocre at best. So
mediocre
not worth the drive, but
aggressively average.
Not quite that bad. It's no Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But no, is
it insensitive of me to ask? Like, does he ride a horse?
It's interesting that you would say this. First of all, the movie's name is The Thicket. Just so everyone's aware.
Okay.
And no, I mean, yes, he rides a horse. He also he's mostly in a carriage and cart. Now that you mention it, the movie does acknowledge that he's short. If that makes you feel better. They don't try to like pretend like it's not a thing.
Right.
but they also, I don't know how to. They make a compelling case for why he can handle his own, I guess, in a combat situation.
Okay.
Gun.
Not gun, just short, quick knives, but and also gun. Also, he's a very good sniper. He's got he used to travel with Annie Oakley, Wild West show, so he's a trick shootist. But anyway, yeah, it's a they're just kind of tracking down this bounty on this woman named Bill, and that's kind of the crux of it. But the movie's, I feel like it's kind of missing a lot of character. Like, it was hard to care about the characters, that's kind of disappointing, especially Peter Dinklage. He's tends to play characters you're easy to root for, and he just, I don't know, something was missing here, a little bit of character weight or something from the leads, but I will say the like photography, the actual camera work was stunning. They did some really cool stuff, some really interesting shots, played with silhouette in interesting ways. But that you're only going to care if that stuff if you're like, a film nerd or a cinephile or whatever. Sure. But in terms of the movie itself, you can kind of see why Tubi was able to afford the rights to it.
Gotcha.
Because it's not, I don't think a lot of people were bidding for this one, but
Right.
It's okay. It's an okay movie.
Mine this week is not a new one by any stretch of the imagination, but I know Zach's going to appreciate it. And it's funny because you actually sent me a meme today that I almost said something, but I wanted to save it for the show.
Oh.
I finished watching Big Bang Theory. That's just like comfort food that I watch before I go to bed, and I needed something else that I've seen before, so I restarted Arrested Development.
Hell yeah.
That show continues to make me laugh so hard, dude. It's just so ridiculous, and just some lines are just, it's so funny. I love the dichotomy of Michael's ridiculous family and him just trying to be the good guy and very stoic, but then he falters every once in a while. And it's just the whole concept of him falling in love with his brother's girlfriend at the beginning is just fun and awkward.
Marta.
And oh man, it's just is that the girl by the way, from The Mummy?
Yeah.
It is her?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was like, man, she looks like the
Anaxinamoon.
Yes.
Well, she's the second Marta. There's a different Marta in the first episode.
Okay. I'm not crazy, because I was like, man, she looks different.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Arrested Development, if you've never watched it, it's still really funny, and if you've watched it before, it's worth watching again.
It's one banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10? Dude, I love that. Lucy,
and I don't know why I love it, but I love the whole creepy George Michael falling in love with his cousin and just like the awkward moments that creates. It's just so freaking great.
Oh, I love that the narrator of the show, every time he mentions maybe, he's always like George Michael and his cousin maybe. Maybe.
Right.
Might be his cousin. It's good.
You mean Ron Howard?
Yes, yeah.
Isn't it Ron Howard?
Opie, yeah. Which is funny.
So
dude, they make fun of they like make references to the Andy Griffith show later. I just love, he's like, and no one was making fun of Andy Griffith. I can't stress that enough. The narrator. It's so good. It's good stuff. I mean, that show's incredible. I'm about to finish up season 3 myself on my rewatch.
I remember liking the last season, not as much, but it was still worth watching.
No, yeah.
Like
I think it's great. Everything with Charlize Theron.
I vaguely remember.
Yeah.
Like vaguely.
Have you seen seasons 4 and 5?
I saw it all, yes.
Oh, okay,
I just, it's been so long. I watched it like at release. So.
Oh, sorry. Is that what you were referencing when you said the last season? Is season 5?
I don't remember what I said about the last season. I watched all of it.
No, you said you didn't like it as much as the others.
I didn't. Whichever one they brought to Netflix, like it was like a Netflix exclusive.
Yeah. Okay.
Were there 2 seasons?
Yeah, 4 and 5. Yeah.
The people complained about it, but I still thought it was.
Yeah. It was
still good.
Season 4 is weird because the actors aren't really together because they're all so busy.
Oh.
But I thought season 5 was back to pretty traditional Arrested Development.
I'm looking forward back to it. Just the whole like them driving instead of stairs everywhere is funny.
Your car. You're gonna get some hop-ons.
Oh, yeah. Or when like they parked it at the prison, like, and he had George Michael like sit in the car at the prison and wait for him. Like went and talked to Pop. And like just like prisoners were escaping, like they just climbed atop the fence. It's just so funny.
Oh, the show's so good, man. Oh, it's
There's
great.
very like Seinfeld-esque moments, like they're waiting the entire episode to set up this one small joke that is really funny, but it's only there for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
There's just something brilliant about
Well, that's why
that.
it's so amazing to rewatch. I feel like every time you pick up new jokes.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Job is so funny. He is that actor. What's his name?
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett honestly, I think what it was is listen to that podcast.
Oh yeah.
Where he was a guest on with Ted Danson, and they went back and watched that scene. Like, I need to watch the show.
That's
Anyway.
that's very good.
That's it. Thank you, everybody. Jake, thanks for being here. Zach, as always, it's a pleasure. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Jacob Gunderson, and we are the Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.
And overrated games.